Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the stream of the Borg Skeptic show. I'm not actually sure what week we're on yet, but I think it's fourth or fifth anyway. But tonight we've not got a guest with us, so what we're going to be doing is something new. We're going to be doing some readings from the Jehovah's Witness book, the Examining the Daily Scriptures, which is indoctrination tactic which is used by Jehovah's Witnesses, where every Jehovah's Witness, and those of you who were Jehovah's Witnesses will know this, that you had to wake up each morning and read the scriptures and read the passage that was written down, and it was meant to be like a spiritual nugget for the day sort of thing. So we're going to be doing the reading of those from this week. But before we get into that, I would like to shout out those who are in the chat with us today. We have Susan Brewer, welcome to the show once again. We have Kat the Humanist, regular here. Thank you for joining in. We've also got Scott Williamson with us today as well. So thank you very much, all of those who've tuned in.
Welcome to the show. I agree. Thank you.
So with me today we've got the Fad, Justin O'Donnell, welcome, and we've also got another one of our hosts, Skids the Clown. How are you doing, Skids?
I am doing amazing, or at least I am until we start digging into reading whatever crap this is that you've got before me. So I don't like reading. And I don't like reading spiritual stuff even more. So this is going to be interesting.
Come on. It's super interesting.
I'm going to take your word for this. So
we've got Susan in the chat saying she's already been triggered by memories. And yeah, it's one of those things.
You're not making me feel better. This is already going to be traumatic if you're already traumatized before we start.
Just wait, Susan. I get to read some from one of my very interesting translations that may make it a little bit more interesting.
Before we get into it, I'd like to say if you're new here, please like, share, and subscribe. The support is absolutely, means a lot to me. I've also got a Patreon which I've set up, so if anyone's interested in supporting me, there's a Patreon page there. The link's in the description and on the About page of my channel. I also have set up a account on buymeacoffee.com. So if anyone would like to, well, not buy me a coffee, but I've set it up as buy me a smoke. If you'd like to buy me a smoke, then that would be absolutely brilliant. If you don't want me to smoke, then you can buy me 3 and tell me in the comments, and I will not smoke for an entire show.
Oh wow!
So obviously, if you don't like smoking, you can do that, and I'll keep to my word on that one. So that's how you can support me. I also have a Discord channel. Links should be in the description. So if you want to hang out with us at any time when we're not on air, then you can do that as well. So without any further ado, let's get into it, eh?
Yeah, I'm excited. So where are we starting? I can't wait.
Well, I think it would be best to start on February the 1st, as that's today's date.
Absolutely.
So who wants to read the first bit?
Let me get that pulled up. See, I should have had that one pulled up. I had everything else except for that darn one pulled up.
I take it you're volunteering then.
Well, can you give me the verse? What's the verse? And I can tell you because I have my
It starts with Jehovah loves justice.
Yeah, it's Psalms 33 verse 5.
See, you're gonna have to take it.
Right, okay. I'll read the first one then. That's absolutely fine.
There you go.
Yeah, so we've got Jehovah loves justice, Psalms 33 verse 5. And the passage that they want us to read is Justice, as used in the Bible, basically means to do what God considers to be right, to do so without partiality. Consider how Jesus' actions revealed his sense of justice. In his day, Jewish religious leaders hated non-Jews, despised common Jews, and disrespected women. Jesus, however, was fair and impartial in dealing with all. He accepted non-Jews who approached him in faith. He preached... Oh, sorry, I've got... Oh, it's on another page, sorry. Yeah. He preached without justice to all, rich and poor. He was never harsh or abusive in his treatment of women. On the contrary, he was respectful and kind to women, including those whom others viewed with scorn. We can imitate Jesus by dealing impartially with others and preaching to all who are willing to listen, regardless of their social and religious backgrounds. Christian men follow his example by treating women with respect.
Is that the example they just set? Or am I
Well,
misconstruing what they actually said?
Well, that's what they want Jehovah's Witnesses to believe is what they teach.
Yeah.
But I think anybody who was a Jehovah's Witness or knows anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, they are not respectful of women in the slightest. Women are allowed no power. No, they're not allowed to, have a say in anything. If they are going to say a prayer in front of a man, they have to wear a shawl over the head, or put a napkin on the head to show, subordination to the man. So yeah, they're not respectful towards women at all.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on what their definition of respect is. So, it's not treating them as equals. That seems to be sure from your example. Treating them with respect just probably means, at least showing them a certain level of tolerance that they're in your presence.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what it is like. I mean, I was never I was, born male, so I was a man when I was in the religion. But I think, Susan would be able to remember what it was like to actually be a woman in the congregation, and it's not respectful towards women whatsoever. So what they're saying there in that passage is completely bullshit.
I think it's funny because, well, I don't think it's funny. I'm just using that as a turn of phrase. But, it is a biblical teaching. It is something that is kind of a theme over and over. But, in more Protestant belief systems, it's kind of skimmed over. You don't see very many women pastors or priests. But it does happen. I think just to kind of show that we are more progressive, but truly we're not. But it doesn't ever go to the extent of what you got or what you're explaining. That's just that's so far beyond what I've ever experienced, at least.
Well, just look how this passage ends, because it's clearly addressing just the males in the audience. Because it basically says Christian men follow his example by treating women with respect. So those who are reading this, it's like it's directly only talking to Christian men at this point.
Yeah. Do they have is that something that appears often in these texts, to where it kind of excludes like talking directly to the female and kind of gives men more direction as to how to deal with the female? Would you say that's something that happens a lot?
Yes, it happens all the time. Pretty much every meeting is, the message that men are given is very different to the message that women are given within the organisation, and very different to the message that children are given in the organisation. The man is the head of the household, is what they teach. And as the head of the household, he has all the responsibility and all of the power. The woman her place is to give birth, to clean up, after the man, and keep the, and look after the children.
That's
The
a
man,
very Western like idea, which is kind of funny, you know.
yeah. I
What?
mean, so they take parts of like Western culture, like from a couple of hundred years ago, the sort of Western culture we had back in like the 1800s. They take a lot of that into account, but then they also have these weird things like if a woman's saying a prayer in front of a man, she has to wear a napkin over her head,
Yeah,
to show
that's I
subordination.
found that
So
weird.
they sort of take what they want, sort of cherry pick from all sorts of different cultures. Um,
Isn't that the game though? Everyone
yeah,
plays.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love cherry picking it too because I can play the cherry pick game just as well, but on the opposite end.
yeah,
Boy, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Scott Williamson's making a good point in the chat. Actually, he says this one elder said to a new visitor to the Kingdom Hall about this. You see, it's not that we disrespect women; it's just that we have to respect Jehovah's arrangement. So that's the line that they will give you if you press a Jehovah's Witness to explain what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of apologetics for it all throughout the Bible, and I would imagine throughout these texts, just the fact that women came from man because man couldn't find a suitable helper amongst the beasts of the earth. It's fun stuff.
And that's what it all comes down to for a lot of religion, isn't it? It's that Genesis verse where, Adam needed a helper, and that's what the woman was. It was the woman came from
Yeah.
Adam's ribs, and it's all freaking a load of dog's bollocks, really, isn't it? And there's there's nothing
I
that
mean,
is weaker.
whether you're taking it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going
I
to
was
say there's
just
nothing that's like weaker or less important about a woman than there is for a man. Men obviously have their strengths and women have their strengths. But
in my
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. In my opinion, it's better to take it not like as its truth, because if you take it as its truth, it's way more messed up than if you take it satirically or or however you want to take it. But it's I can't handle it. I'll say that
yeah.
much.
But the other thing that I find interesting about this is that this passage is actually what they've written here is actually in the daily scriptures. So this is what the family's meant to wake up to and read. It's sort of as if they're recognizing that there's maybe an issue within the arrangement that they have in Jehovah's Witnesses, where men are being a little bit more abusive to the wives, and so they're trying to promote this respect, all whilst maintaining the same arrangement that is maybe causing some of the abuse in the first place.
Do we feel that this is directly just towards women, or is it just, because all prejudice is common within the religion? Because the whole reading the whole thing kind of seems like this is like setting aside your prejudice, which is a good message. But if you need to literally say, hey, you got to put aside your prejudice and go talk to people, even if you really don't like them, I mean, that, like you said, that's addressing the problem. It's like, okay, we know that, those people that look different than you, you don't like them, they're kind of creepy, but you got to go ahead and spread the word anyway.
Yeah, now that is an interesting point what you touched on there, because it's not just talking about, obviously, men towards the wives or, brothers towards the sisters in the congregation. There is that bit there where it says, we can imitate Jesus by dealing impartially with others and preaching to all who are willing to listen, regardless of their social or religious background. Now, that bit, again, is not true. So the other message that they're trying to push out is that, you need to be respectful to anyone. But if you go back to the Always Rejoice convention this year, you have Brother Stephen Lett talking about spouting hate speech against homosexuals and atheists.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of that is, regardless of their social backgrounds?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So they're not keeping up with that part either. Um, and then it also obviously also points out as well, preaching to all who are willing to listen. And this is another big part
yeah,
with the Jehovah's Witnesses. They'll only like you if, or talk to you, or have
Mhm.
anything to do with you, if you're willing to, listen to them and get baptized.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
you're just kind of a conquest, a goal to bring in more members than anything else. Otherwise, they wouldn't
Mm.
have anything to do with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry if I'm being quiet here, but I'm trying to find in my translation the same verse to see how much it differs.
Do you want me
Just because
to read out what verses they
it's
are?
it's 33. It's Psalms 33:5. It's just this downloaded version that I have. I'm having
Ah,
problems figuring out how they've labeled it. So I'm you guys are willing to keep. If you guys are willing to keep talking
yeah,
about it while I look, we can, or we can always move on.
Well, there's a
Whatever.
yeah,
couple other passages that are listed.
yeah.
Um, is there's like let's see, where are we? Matthew
Matthew,
8,
yeah,
5,
yeah. Matthew 8, 5
10
through
through
10.
13,
Yeah,
Uh,
okay. I see
and
you're
then
right.
Matthew 11, 5, Luke 19 to 9.
See, I
yeah,
wasn't even looking at that, but they did use, okay, so they were using multiple verses, but it's written like it's, one
yeah,
big,
What
yeah.
exactly? So I mean, I might be asking the obvious question, but they're taking little bits from here and there to come up with this whole
oh,
thought.
yeah,
So
Yeah, exactly. Look at
and I
Monday, February 1st.
yeah,
It says Jehovah loves justice, Psalms 33:5. It doesn't say anything about those other verses unless you're actually
yeah,
looking into it, which most people
hmm
don't. They just trust what they're
yeah.
being told.
But that's actually a good point because what you mentioned there, Skids, is because that's what Jehovah's Witnesses do in a lot of the stuff. You'll see this all the time throughout their publications. They're taking little bits from verses all over the Bible and piecing them all together into a rhetoric which fits their message.
exactly. And I don't
Um,
Yeah,
think that's just exclusive to the Jehovah's
oh no,
Witnesses,
not
but
of course
it,
not. This is what all
it's
religion
not.
tends to do. Um, you
I
know,
think the Jehovah's Witness just kind of takes some of the things to a little bit more of an extreme
yeah,
than other sects of Christianity.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
But
I mean, uh, but you can sort of understand when you reading reading this and you imagine a life in which you have to first of all you have to attend 3 meetings a week, two of 2 hours long, and one of 1 hour long. So you've got 5 hours of indoctrination there straight away. Then you've got to obviously
yeah,
also study the
exactly.
Watchtower for each week. You've got to read the whole thing and look through all of that. Then on top of all of that, you have to read this every morning. It's quite easy to see how Jehovah's Witnesses are that indoctrinated.
hmm
Now, obviously, I haven't studied every religion, but within Christianity, but I think Jehovah's Witnesses, apart from some of like the more fanatical evangelical religions, have sort of a monopoly on this level of indoctrination.
I man, I dropped the
Yeah, exactly.
ball. I love how, I was just rereading that and how they did that is so sly because it's just a cohesive paragraph, but
hmm
it's so many different verses. I wish that I had taken the time to split this up to show how incohesive it truly is. But man, to have included so many verses in even just that small amount of paragraph, that would have been quite the unpacking. It's crazy.
Well, if you don't
Exactly.
mind, let's look at this one. So, if we go into Matthew here, we're going to start back
Yep.
into our daily, and he accepted non-Jews who approached him in faith. And it says that it's pulling this information from Matthew 8:5 through 10. So if we go ahead and we look at that, Matthew 8. So the centurion replied, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does that. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed and said to those following him, truly, I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah, that's just so out of context to what is actually
Yeah,
said there.
so again, they're taking the overall thought of that, but it seems like they're missing kind of the point of that.
So I think I found Psalms 33:5. Okay, yes. So this is what the whole one is based on. This is what they actually say. Yeah, right below the title. And Psalms 33:5 in this translation says, he loves whatever is just and good, and his unfailing love fills the earth. So yeah, I guess it is basically a summation of what they're trying to say, but I would like to put emphasis on what they're trying to say, because if you look at what they're actually saying, it's not actually cohesive to what that Psalms verse says.
Yes, because what they're saying is that Jehovah loves justice, and then they define justice as doing what God considers to be right without partiality.
Absolutely, yep. So so were we gonna
Good.
stick on Monday, February 1st? Because we can continue. There's passages from Luke and things of that nature. Or I didn't know if you wanted to move on, if we were gonna read February 2nd, or how did you want to do this?
Let me
Oh,
pull
sorry.
up
Yeah. If you want to move
Matthew
on to the
11.
next one, if Skids, you want to read out the next one,
Yeah,
Sure
or kids or
thing.
whatever.
February
Yeah,
2nd.
absolutely.
Yeah, I can do that. All right. So the next one, we became gentle in your midst, as when a nursing mother tenderly cares for her own children. That's from 1 Thessalonians 2:7. And I probably butchered that. I'm sorry. But anyway, loyal elders today can likewise use tender, gentle words as they offer scriptural comfort to those in need. Are elders the only ones who can give comfort to victims of abuse? No. All of us have the responsibility to keep comforting one another. Mature Christian sisters can be especially encouraging to sisters in need of comfort. Fittingly, Jehovah God likened himself to the mother who comforts her son. The Bible includes examples of women who provide comfort to those in distress. How delighted Jehovah is to see Christian women today offering comfort to fellow sisters who struggle with emotional pain. In some cases, an elder or two may discreetly ask a mature sister if she's in a position to help a suffering sister in that way. Of course, we are careful not to pry into the matters that a fellow Christian prefers to keep private.
Well, that's a very interesting one, actually.
It is.
Now, the way that they keep talking about abuse, and I think I touched on it on the last one, about how maybe they're they're trying to correct an error in, the realised. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Maybe it's the governing body are like realising that the arrangement that they've set up is causing abuse within families. It's causing abuse in the home, and they're trying to put forward a way of trying to correct that abuse,
or at least comfort it, if not correct it.
So that's a very interesting passage.
Start a group together, an abuse, a survivors group, but you also have to stay with the person who's abusing you.
Yeah, you're not getting out of the situation, but at least you can talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And, this could be down to the rule that they have, which is once you're married in Jehovah's Witnesses, there's very, very few scenarios in which you're going to be able to get a divorce. So if you are being abusive, the elders will usually tell sisters who are in an abusive marriage that it's their fault. They have to deal with the stress, the emotions of it, because it's their fault. They're doing something that they're not looking after their man correctly.
Yes.
And, obviously this isn't just Jehovah's Witnesses that have this teaching. This is a common Christian teaching. But again, Jehovah's Witnesses seem to be taking it to an extreme. And it is causing a lot of abuse and stress and horrible situations for people to have to live in.
Yeah, because they have to be specifically talking about that, because this, again, like the last paragraph, this one seems to be directly talking to the women of the church. So it's not mentioning, men and women or just members of the church be available to comfort others. It's specifically women, be willing to comfort your fellow Christian women in your church.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think of that last sentence? Of course, we are careful not to pry into the matters that a fellow Christian prefers to keep private. Is that kind of like la la la, I can't hear you when it comes to serious abuse?
Well, before we answer this, I think we might want to read the verses, the verse in 1 Thessalonians 4:11, before answering that one.
Sounds good.
I'm trying to find it in this. Man, I'm not a big fan of how they set up this PDF, but they set it up in a way as to keep people from using it.
So what was the verse again?
In between verses or between books and things of that nature, you have to really pay attention.
I've got it pulled up.
If you've got it pulled up, that's fine.
Right. Okay. So 4:11, and to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life, you should mind your own business and work with your hands, just as we told you.
Oh, well, I wasn't expecting that verse. That doesn't have anything to do with what they're talking about, does it?
Do you want me to read the whole thing starting from 4:9?
Yeah.
That might give you a little more context.
Yeah.
Okay, so now about your love for one another, we do not need to write to you, for you yourselves have been taught by God to love each other. And in fact, you do love all of your God's family through Macedonia. Yet we urge you, brothers and sisters, to do more and more, and to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. Your mind is your own business, and you work with your own hands, just as we told you, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders. so that you will be not dependent on anybody. So that sounds like it's completely out of context.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely cherry picked that but it just doesn't seem to match with what we're clearly talking about. You know, the another teaching in the Bible, which is
Hmm.
that one brother is not to um, is not to get involved in another brother's business.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
so someone's spiritual health or spiritual problems is their problems. You're not to get involved in that. But they've chosen this verse for some weird reason.
Yeah, and two
Yeah.
seven. Man, it just from what I was just reading, I thought I had found it in the First Thessalonians 2:7, but it just doesn't seem to fit it at all.
Two
Yeah.
seven. Yeah.
Yeah, what it says here in this New Living Translation just does not make sense. So I'll read it anyways. First
Okay.
Thessalonians 2:7, as apostles of Christ, we certainly had a right to make some demands of you, but we were as gentle among you as a mother feeding and caring for her own children. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. I'm so confused.
Yeah,
No, I mean, I get they're literally getting the words "mother caring for children" out of that text. That's all they were interested in.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they've completely taken out of context, but it did hold the three words that they were wanting. In other words,
Yes, pretty much.
yeah, that now that is just a really weird way to go about it, isn't it? It's like,
Hmm.
really weird. And
It,
the strange thing is, I never recognised this because I used to read this every morning, and I never recognised when they were doing this sort of, this sort of thing. It just all seemed to click and make sense in my mind, but to read
Well,
it
it's
now
like,
when I'm out, it's makes
yeah,
no sense.
it's like the line above where we're at, where it says the Bible includes examples of women who provide comfort to those in distress. But then it cites Job 42:11, and I mean we know the horror story that is the story
Mm.
of Job.
I
So,
was just
you
looking
know,
that one up. I love Job. I mean, I can't find it yet, so yeah, if you can find it quicker than me, go for it. But yeah,
let me see if
Yeah.
I
Job
can
is a
pull it up real quick.
Job is a horror story, and it's so great because
Mm.
God allows Satan, I guess, or whoever you want to call him, to do all this to Job.
Okay, so probably to read this, I'm going to have to start back in Job 42:10. After Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. All of his brothers and sisters and everyone who had known him before came and ate with him in his house. They comforted and consoled him over the trouble the Lord had brought to him, and each one gave him a piece of silver and a gold ring.
Yeah, piece of silver and a gold ring after everything. I'm sure he was
It's
quite
it's
appreciative of that.
it's literally funny that they're saying that the Lord favors those who comfort, when the passage that they literally refer to is the one that says they comfort and consoled him over all the trouble the Lord had brought.
Mm.
Well, and that's what I was saying. Like everybody loves to refer to it as Satan, but I don't think that it actually says Satan did this. I mean, the Lord did bring all of this upon him, at least from
Hmm.
my interpretation of it.
Mm.
Maybe I'm interpreting it wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
Scott Williamson's talking about that a little bit. So, first of all, he says they must have access to Jehovah's Holy Spirit, and that is why they understand. So
Mm.
they use that as a a bit of reasoning there as to why they're able to understand it and we're not. Then Scott says, somehow in Job they make Satan the bad one. So this is how they argue that around it. It wasn't Jehovah who was putting him through all of this bad stuff. Somehow they spin it to
Ah,
it was Satan's fault, even though Satan's not mentioned at all.
Well, that's exactly, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's what someone's mentioned. Someone needs to have, like, be given the authority to do all of this, but I can't even remember what the verse said, who it was, but it just definitely does not say it's Satan by any means.
mhm.
Yeah, and Susan's saying, notice that Satan didn't bring Job up, Jehovah did.
Mm,
So
exactly.
they're doing a massive like play on words with the scriptures there, just like they always seem to do. Like I don't understand why. Obviously, they'll say that you need the Holy Spirit to understand it and that, but I don't understand why if God is this all-knowing, all-powerful being and He wants us to give us a message, why you have to copy and paste from 5, 6 different scriptures to make a point.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
if you've actually read it, you'll understand why, because it's yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
say anything
It
like
it doesn't
that.
say that.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making. They're trying to get a cult message across their own human beliefs from these scriptures that don't say what they want it to say, so they're just going to copy and paste from loads of different places and then go, ha, look, I told you it
You know
said
what I
that.
find
Yeah.
interesting is it does, like, the scriptures do contain horrible things, and they don't always take them in complete context as to what the scripture says, but they also have construed things differently in a way that's just as horrible. So
Mm,
Mm.
it's just funny that they can change it and use it as a horrible way, um, in not a way that the scripture is actually
yeah.
trying to convey, but the
Because
scripture as a whole, of course,
yeah,
is
because this daily is creepy, to be honest.
yeah.
Yeah, what's making me cringe with this passage is clearly they're talking about abuse here, and I don't think they're just talking about abuse with between husband and wife. I think they're also talking about uh, child sexual abuse
Hmm.
in this. So
Yeah.
people who have gone through, like myself and like many others, who have gone through sexual abuse at the hands of the organisation, whether it be at home or whether it be in the congregation. And if you choose to stay in the organisation, there is no justice for you. You've got
Hmm.
to submit to the fact that the person who abused you is most likely not going to be punished for what they've done,
Hmm.
and you have to submit to firstly forgiving the person who abused you, and then also not feeling bad about what happened. You've got to feel love for that abuser.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
think this is what they're getting at: is the stress and that they're mentioning is the stress of you have to forgive someone that has wronged you in an unmentionable way.
I think you were saying that it kind of explains away whenever they do things to children, and I was looking through just this, and I could see a lot of it does talk about sisters and things of that nature, but one place where it does, I believe it says, fittingly Jehovah likened himself to a mother who comforts her son. um,
Yes.
yeah, and the Bible includes examples of women who provide comfort to those in distress, so
Mm.
that's not particularly women, those in distress, or who comforts her son. It kind of shows that it's not exactly women. or
Yeah.
not in all cases, at least.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Yeah.
mean, this literally, like I said earlier, is directed towards women that are in that emotional pain. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't even really talk about, if it's a male child that's suffering through something. They're not even acknowledging that. This is really talking to the women. And if, this religion is supposed to be so wonderful, why is this such a thing where they have to worry about those struggling with emotional pain?
Yeah, exactly. And there's also another thing here as well, which if I go back in the comments, Susan was mentioning it. She says, "Not worthy, but Jehovah wants one to make it one's best friend forever. What the fuck?" So there's this thing with Jehovah's Witnesses that you need to make God your friend. You need to make Jehovah your best friend.
Yes.
He's going to comfort you in the times of need. He's going to give you all the support that you need. Yet at the same time, here they're clearly saying that the entire congregation of sisters need to support their fellow brothers and sisters in the times of need.
Yeah.
So it's
So they're
quite clear
definitely
that
acknowledging the issue.
yeah. So it's quite clear
And
that
then
Jehovah
tomorrow
isn't
they'll tell
helping
you to
these
fear
people.
God. So
Yeah.
it's funny how different they can look at it. I try not to fear my best friends. Those aren't good best friends to have, I wouldn't
Right,
say.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and clearly, but if they're needing humans to help them through all of this, then clearly this all-powerful God hasn't done anything. He hasn't helped them.
Yeah.
If he can just click his fingers and make the pain go away, he's clearly not doing that. Which means he exists and he wants them to suffer,
Yeah.
or he doesn't
It's
exist.
part of his plan, and we can't know it because we're not him, right? God
Yeah,
of the gap.
yeah, exactly. To be fair, I'm getting a little bit triggered by this one. To be fair, and I
So,
think there'll
yeah.
be some people in the chat that are getting
Speaking of
triggered by this.
tomorrow,
Yeah,
I think that's a good segue to move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we
I'll
can-
read it because I dropped the ball on that first one. If
Oh,
that's
you're fine,
completely
you're
okay with
fine.
you guys. All
That's
right,
absolutely fine.
Friday or Thursday, February 4th. I
no, it's
almost
Wednesday.
skipped.
Wait, Wednesday.
Oh,
Oh,
Wednesday.
wait, Wednesday. See, I'm not even paying attention, guys. This is me
Drop the
dropping
ball
the ball
again.
again. Wednesday, February 3rd. Yeah, I did. All right. Well, on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, every matter may be established. Matthew 18:16. Before the elders take judicial action, why are at least 2 witnesses required? This requirement is part of the Bible's high standard of justice. When there is no confession of wrongdoing, 2 witnesses are required to establish the accusation and authorize the elders to take judicial action. Deuteronomy 19:15, 1 Timothy 5:19. If the individual denies the accusation, the elders consider the testimony of witnesses. If at least 2 people, the one making the accusation and someone else, can confirm the charge, a judicial committee is formed. The absence of a second witness does not mean that the one making the accusation is untruthful, even if a charge of the wrongdoing cannot be established by 2 witnesses. The elders recognize that a serious sin may have been committed. The elders provide ongoing support to any individuals who may have been hurt and remain alert to protect the congregation from potential danger. Acts 20:28.
Well, now they're not letting up, are they? I said I was getting triggered, and
Yeah.
They're
So
not
they
letting
just
up
kind of
now.
piled right on top of that last one, didn't they?
But
It did, yeah.
now this is showing an even bigger problem. To be fair, and because this rule here. So for anyone in the who's watching and doesn't know what this is talking about, this is talking about the 2 or 3 witness rule. So, for instance, this is the big problem with the child sex abuse within Jehovah's Witnesses. So there's this verse at the take which says, you know, you need 2 or 3 witnesses to establish guilt, and so this is what they use when if you've been sexually abused as a child within the religion and you come forward to the elders, they will pull this out the hat and go, right, you need another witness. We cannot take what you say as being true until someone else who has witnessed the abuse comes forward. Now, obviously, that is a bullshit rule, because how many, sexual abusers, paedophiles, whatever, are going to, commit child sex abuse with another person present to watch it?
And yeah, I mean, they're clearly defining the rule as like, as long as it's just you and your abuser, I mean, yeah, we will maybe acknowledge that something was committed, but you have no recourse for this. No judicial action will be taken unless a second witness. So literally you draw out the rules and you make it so as long as you and your abuser are in a room behind a closed door, there's nothing that can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the other worrying thing about this is that they swore blind that they had changed this rule, that this rule was no longer part of it. They swore that they'd taken this rule out or amended this rule, whichever they did. Yeah, so that it wasn't going to affect any future victims of child sex abuse. But this is the passage for Wednesday, so clearly that rule is still there.
Mm-hmm.
They have not removed that rule. They have not amended that rule. It's still exactly the same rule as it was that stopped me getting justice against my abuser.
So, withholding Matthew 18:16, which is basically the title of this one,
yes.
I find it interesting that such a large and very formative rule is made up of only 3 verses this time. Be it they be Deuteronomy, 1 Timothy, and Acts, which, makes sense that they can derive such judicial rules from these books. It's still very interesting that such a large idea is derived from such a small amount of verses. We have to look them up, see how.
I'm pulling up Deuteronomy right now. Was it 1915?
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the beginning of a verse. One witness is not enough to convict anyone accused of a crime or offense that they may have committed. A matter must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses.
Yeah, it's straight up. Yeah, that's... So, let's move on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we pretty much understand it.
Yeah.
I'm looking into this, what it's referring to. If a malicious witness takes a stand to accuse someone of a crime, the 2 people involved in the dispute must stand in the presence of the Lord before the priests and the judges who are in office at the time. The judges
they're the arbiters of the Lord, right?
Yeah, exactly. The judges must make a thorough investigation, and if the witness proves to be a liar, giving false testimony against the fellow Israelite, then do the false witness as that witness intended to do to the other party. You must purge the evil from among you.
Wow.
Yeah. So the judges would be the elders in this scenario. But
yeah, and
the thing is that it has to be done in the presence of the Lord or Jehovah.
Yes.
So,
what they do 2 days in a row
is
they slam that into you.
Yeah, and I don't mean to make light of a situation, but I would say that if they have to put this into a daily motivational kind of scenario, this is obviously a problem that they're addressing. This isn't
Yeah,
something, oh, by the
absolutely.
way, just keep this in the back of your mind. No, this is, look, we've had to deal with this, people. Enough is enough. This is the way it's got to be.
yeah. But
Yeah.
at the same time, they're not changing the root problem, the reason
Well,
why the
exactly.
abuse is happening.
Well, the people up top wouldn't want to. I mean,
Yeah,
this is their gig, right? This is how they like to do it.
Well,
So
look
yeah.
at this last sentence. The last sentence again says the elders provide ongoing support to any individuals who may have been hurt and remain alert to protect the congregation from potential danger.
yeah,
So this is, in my mind, my opinion, this is literally saying, okay, so we know that we only have one person that spoke out against somebody. We can't do anything, but we're going to let you know maybe you should keep your kids away from Pastor John over there.
yeah. And the last line of that is the most important bit that they're getting across here: to protect the congregation. That's what the whole aim of this is to protect the
Yeah.
congregation as a whole, to protect the organisation. It's got nothing to do with
With the
protecting the
individual.
victims of this. The victims are just meant to keep quiet. Shut up, do as they're told, carry on.
Well,
Oh,
I
so
would imagine
you
that
were hurt,
some
but
parents know it's going on, and they are so indoctrinated into the religion that they would dare not say anything about it. Like,
well,
is that
exactly.
not correct? So that they could protect the congregation,
Well,
right?
take my
Or
grandma, for instance. My grandma is very much indoctrinated into it. Now, I told her when I was living with her, when we first came out, she was the one that actually went to the elders, took me to the elders originally. So I'd already told her everything that had gone on. She knew that, and I told her multiple times since because she kept seeming to forget, even to the point where when I had to stay with her last year, well, about a year and a half ago, now, for a couple of months while she was still shunning me, she came to me and actually had a conversation with me, and she started the conversation by saying, "So you've been saying that, yeah, that Jill, that was my stepmother, was sexually abusing you. I don't understand. Why are you lying about that? Did that really happen?" That was the start of the conversation, even though she previously knew that it was going on. So the
Yeah.
indoctrination was making her forget, and somehow, and having to try and then being confronted with it again, and having to try and come to terms with it again.
it
Yeah,
sounds like she
exactly.
was almost trying to convince herself, like you said, protect
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
congregation. Yeah, yeah. Huh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's very.
that is just horrible.
And this is what I'd say there's probably thousands of us out there who have been abused at the hands of
Mhm.
this awful, awful cult, and
Yeah.
and we're just expected to just shut up and get on with it. And I mean, the way that they are in this, what's pissing me off is the way that they say those who may have been hurt. This isn't a matter of hurt. That's an understatement. This is a
Yeah.
matter of people's lives being destroyed.
Yeah. This is trauma, not oh, I've got a slight hurt feeling, or just slight little bit of an inconvenience. This is something that is going to follow people for their entire lives. That is just, it's detrimental, physically, mentally, emotionally. It is literally something that's not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we should move on. Hopefully, they're not going to do
Yeah,
a triple barrel roll on us. And
they absolutely could. Like, it would not
Fingers
surprise me.
crossed.
So,
yeah,
who's taking the read on
I
this
think it's
one?
Katie's turn.
yeah. So,
Lucky Katie.
Thursday, February the 4th. Ponder over these things, so that your advancement may be plainly seen by all people. 1 Timothy 4:15. It is important for children to be taught how to study. They need to learn how to prepare for congregation meetings, for example, or how to do research on an issue that has arisen at school. If they spend some time on study projects at home, they will be better equipped to focus on the material presented at congregation meetings, assemblies and conventions. Of course, the length of each study period will depend on the age and temperament of the children. Our Bible students also need to learn how to study. When they are new, we are happy to see them simply underline the answers in preparation for the Bible study or the congregation meetings. But we do need to teach our Bible students how to do research and how to do meaningful study on their own. In that way, when problems arise, they will know how to get practical advice for themselves by doing research in our publications.
Yeah, I mean, teach them how to do the mental gymnastics, because if you read through it without knowing how to interpret it in the way they want you to interpret it, then you're definitely not going to be a Jehovah's Witness. So you have to be very adamant about how you are teaching them to interpret the scripture. That's what I got out of that, at least.
Yeah, I kind of getting the same thing. It's basically setting up. This is how they study. That way, when they come across something that seems like, well, I thought God was all loving, but here he's, drowning everyone on the planet. Then you teach them, well, don't look at this, look at this instead. And this says how much God is a loving God. So,
yeah, that was a blessing when God flooded the planet.
Yeah.
God even calls them blessings.
It's basically training the kids at a young age how to, when they question something, just find something else that makes them forget.
Yeah, it's it's the art of indoctrination. Indoctrination isn't like going to college and doing your study there and learning true things. It's indoctrination is how to learn something that's illogical, how to learn something that's irrational, and how to do, as you say, the mental gymnastics to be able to hold two contradictory beliefs, in your head at one time.
Think about this. They're saying about, and I hate indoctrination of children, but that's not what I'm trying to get at. They're saying that, you need to indoctrinate these children in that manner. And the children can't think for themselves. Like they can, but there are grown men that, like you said, they go to college. Like there are studied people that are trying to understand these things. And instead they're saying, oh no, teach it to them and teach it to them like this, because this is how we like to interpret it. It's just, I don't know. It's folly for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Scott Williamson saying in the chat, they will say Jehovah's justice and mercy is perfect, and God's ways are higher than man's ways. So what you were mentioning about before with the the flood and things like that, where clearly these horrible things have happened that God has instigated or has committed himself. It's justice and it's mercy, and guess what? It's perfect. So don't question it.
No, it's a blessing. It's it's crazy. I don't know. No.
It's interesting because the first reference they make in this section is to Hebrews 5:14. So we look at that, and we might have to go back a little bit because it is pulled out of the very end of a section here. It's a warning against falling away. So if we go back to 5:11 and start there, it says, we have much to say about this, but it is hard to make it clear to you because you no longer try to understand. So they're talking to somebody who is starting no longer to believe. In fact, though by this time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you the elementary truths about God's word all over again. You need milk, not solid food. Anyone who lives on milk, still being an infant, is not acquainted with the teachings about righteousness. But solid food is for the mature, who by constant use have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil. So it's not talking about necessarily teaching children. It's teaching people who wouldn't necessarily believe the word is true.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I understood it. And saying, don't lay it on thick at first. Give them milk, and then once they start the indoctrination process, then you can start feeding them a little bit hamburger meat and maybe steak later on.
Exactly. It's literally keep it simple.
Yeah.
And obviously this isn't just Jehovah's Witnesses. This is how, religion in general, carries out indoctrination. And it's a big problem. Especially when you've got arguments like, because you can, anybody can really point out the inaccuracies with the teachings of the Bible. But as we hear from many Christian apologetics time and time again, is the argument that Scott Williamson is making. Not that he's making this argument, but that he's pointing out that they do make this argument. And many cannot understand Jehovah's thinking or God's thinking as imperfect creatures. So we hear this from many apologetics, it's God's word. We can't understand it because we're not God. So we just have to go with it, no matter how, strange or illogical it may seem.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a big problem with religion is, if something's true, you would expect that there would be evidence for it, understandable, rational, logical evidence. That's why we have the scientific process. But this has got nothing to do with logic.
I don't think that everybody should be held up to the standard of using the scientific process to figure out, all they know. But you should definitely, use the scientific process, but not go in and read up and necessarily read into individual verses. I think that you just kind of have to see the end product and kind of make your decisions from there. But that's kind of my idea on it. It just, I don't see that it's how are people forced to go in and study these things? If you're forced, how are you not forced to go in and study Islam? How are you not forced to go in and study all of these other religions? No, you have to get in and study this, and you have to study it a certain way. It's clear that it's pointed. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Before we move on, a funny point from the chat. Susan is saying, Jehovah's Witnesses, they should put up signs saying paedophiles protected here, because the organisation's rife with them. Obviously talking about the last points that we made in the on the Wednesdays one.
Exactly.
Not a bad idea. Maybe they should do that. Maybe it would put people off when, I'll just have stickers or
it
something.
May attract some people.
Have stickers for the foreheads when they're knocking on your door.
Are you hiring? That was tasteless.
Yeah. We kind of all went quiet after that one.
Maybe we should make a sign for my merch store.
Are we on?
exactly.
We don't
Are
want
we on
pedos
a?
here, and just so you put that on your front door. Jehovah's
Are we
Witnesses, we
on
don't want
February
pedos at
5th?
this house.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm gonna
Next is
like
Friday.
February 5th. Oh, Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to
It
start?
says,
Yeah,
yeah,
go
it just
ahead.
says the word Satan a lot. I can see, and that sounds
Oh, you're gonna love this
that
one
sounds
then, aren't you?
All
exciting.
right. February 5th, we are overturning reasonings and every lofty thing raised up against the knowledge of God. 2 Corinthians 10:5. Satan is determined to change our thinking. He uses every type of reasoning to counteract the influence of truth of God's word. Satan continues to ask the same question he asked Eve in the Garden of Eden. Did God really say that? In the word under Satan's control, we often hear challenging questions such as these. Does God really not approve same-sex marriage? Does God really not want you to celebrate Christmas or your birthdays? Does your God really expect you to refuse a blood transfusion? Does a loving God really expect you to avoid association with disfellowshipped loved ones? We need to convince our, I'm sorry, if we leave convinced, I totally messed that up. We need to be convinced of our beliefs. If we leave challenging questions unanswered in our minds, they can become serious doubts. These doubts can eventually distort our thinking and destroy our faith.
Boy, they covered quite a few things in that
Yeah.
little thing. Like everything is just brush it aside. We can
It
we can
doesn't
yeah.
answer those questions though. Is the problem? It just says, yeah, these are questions. Don't think about them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's the whole point of this message. It's to get across that you shouldn't be questioning, you shouldn't be doubting, because questions will lead to doubts, doubts will lead to bigger doubts, and those bigger doubts will lead to you leaving the truth, as they
Yes.
put
Well,
it. Um,
it's interesting that they refer to Genesis 3:1 because the snake, and they use Satan, but the snake or whatever it was not lying to them.
Yeah. Because the
So
question, and this is the question where God said that when you eat the fruit, you will surely die that day. Is that correct?
yeah, but he said, you're right, that is what the exact reference was whenever he said if you eat of it you will die, but he says if you that won't happen. If you eat of it you'll gain the truth, and then if you eat of the other tree, of course you'll gain eternal life. Which, boy, I'm glad they didn't eat of that tree.
yeah. Yeah, so as you say, there's quite a lot to cover in this one. But let me just drag that back up again because I was
Again, I'd
busy
like to point
chatting
out
in there.
that the lack of references in this one.
There isn't a lot, is there? No, it's I think I think this one is like sort of a bit. Think about it logically. It's they haven't for the past year. They haven't been preaching because of obviously the pandemic and that and everything. So they haven't been out preaching. So I think they're just trying to like reaffirm that these are the sort of questions that people will be asking. So be prepared, because we don't want you to be asking the same questions when you're not able to
So
answer these questions.
People have had too much time on their hands. So
Yeah,
That makes sense.
I think there's a worry with that from the governing body, is that, because usually life as Jehovah's Witness is centered around this preaching work. So you're that involved in the preaching work. Someone asks you one of these questions, and you don't think about it. You either answer it or you don't, whether you have an answer or not.
right.
And then you just move on. You don't think about it. You just go to the next door and try again. So that they don't give you much time. I think the governing body are
Yeah,
worrying that with the
exactly.
amount of time that the Jehovah's Witnesses have had in the last year, that these are questions that will be raising in the minds of witnesses.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually what eventually led me out of Protestant faith was questions that I asked to the leaders of the church,
Mhm.
and no one could give me answers, you know? Basically, the answer, and I recall seeing this, I believe it was Scott Williamson in the chat said something that I always really love to say. Gosh, I wish I would have put it up, but basically that the idea is, they will say, well, we're not God, so we can't.
Yeah,
There's no way we can know. I'll try to find it.
Yeah.
yeah. Fall back on the God works in mysterious ways
Exactly.
whenever they don't know something.
Yeah, obviously the question here that I think is quite interesting that they raised is, does a loving God really expect you to avoid association with his fellowshipped loved ones?
Hmm.
Now that's quite an
I
interesting question, the fact that they're raising that here.
I found Scott's whole thing. It says they will say Jehovah's justice and mercy is perfect, and God's ways are higher than man's ways, and man cannot understand Jehovah's thinking as imperfect creatures. So yeah, that's exactly. I find that
Gotcha.
ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah, and Scott's just reaffirming that now in the chat.
Yeah.
Logic and reason is the devil. God's ways higher than man's ways. You know,
exactly.
uh, so it's the whole logic and reasoning that they're using here is just like arse about face, isn't it? Really, it's all flipped backwards.
Hmm.
It's
I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
the answers to all these questions is yes, right? Does God really not approve of same-sex marriage? Yes. I
Yeah,
mean, that's literally what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. Does God really do not want you to celebrate Christmas and birthdays? Yes. You know, so instead of giving you a way to explain the answer of yes, they're literally just saying, don't think about it. They're not giving you a way to reason it. They're just saying, obey it.
yeah. Go ahead. I'm just writing in the chat.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I
I,
wasn't
I
sure
was
if my.
trying. No, I was
Yeah.
trying not to think about it.
I thought my volume and was not working again.
Yeah, like I said, I was just trying not to think about it. It makes me
Yeah, don't think about it. It makes you doubtful.
yeah. Yeah. Uh, so that was February 5th, correct? Or did we do
Yes, that was Friday, so we're on
I,
Saturday now.
I'm happy to read Saturday if we want to go
Go
on.
for it.
So Saturday. I think that's better.
Saturday.
Saturday, February 6th. All you have, unity of mind, fellow feeling, brotherly affection, tender compassion, and humility. All right, Jehovah loves us deeply, John 3:16. Wow. Yeah, I think we all know what John
Yeah.
3:16 says.
Mhm.
But yeah, Jehovah loves us deeply. We want to imitate our loving Father, so we try to show fellow feeling, brotherly affection, and tender compassion to all, but especially to those who are related to us in the faith. Galatians 6:10. When when members of our spiritual family face stressful challenges, we want to help them. How can we console someone whose marriage mate has died? An important first step is to speak to him or her, even though you may feel awkward or unsure of what to say. Paula, whose husband died, suddenly says, I understand that death makes people uncomfortable. They worry that what they say might come out wrong. But worse than hearing something awkward is hearing nothing at all. A grieving person probably does not expect us to say something profound, Paula says. I appreciate it when friends would simply say, I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, that's interesting.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, I can't say take too many horrible things from that. I've actually been put into the same. I did find it hard to find a way to be compassionate towards a friend who was going through some problems. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I can
Yeah,
see where you're
Here's
going with this.
the thing about this passage is you take all the religion and God out of it. It's just good advice that you don't need to pull from the Bible to get.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it's literally just saying, even if you don't know something that's going to be the cure all, be all for to help somebody, if you just say, you know what, I'm here for you if you need me, that's good advice. That's not some profound godly, you know, uh, gift that is being bestowed on mankind. It's just common humanity.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that this needs to be drilled into their heads on thing that seems to be indoctrination.
Hmm.
Perhaps it's just the fact that things are being drilled into their head, like forgive the horrible things that are happening, forgive the horrible things that are happening. But in this instance, have compassion and things of that nature. So it's
Is is
yeah.
it possible that this might be something that they want to address because of the current situation with
Yes.
the quarantine and the virus?
I was just about to say that I don't think it's so much with this one in particular that the drilling into, Jehovah's Witnesses' heads, that they need to be doing this because Jehovah's Witnesses will do this anyway. I think they're just trying to get this message across so that the governing body, the Bethels and that and everything, have said this because of the amount of death that is going on in the past
Right.
year,
Exactly.
so that nobody can say, well, oh look, us out in the world, we're doing this and we've done this and we've been nice in this way and helped in that way and all of this, and then Jehovah's Witnesses haven't said anything
Yeah,
about it.
exactly.
They're just trying to get ahead of all of that so they can go, well, yes, but look, God told us to tell you this, and look clearly we're better than everybody else because we've got a good system for dealing with death.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
God told us
it's
to
really
say this very generic advice.
It's really funny because Scott Williamson always has summations I see in the chat that seem to really bring it together. And he says this is another tactic the JWs use. They mix common sense with the more extraordinary claims so the conflation can seem to reinforce each other. And
Ah,
that's exactly what I was saying. It's like,
that is,
yeah, be kind in these instances, be kind in these instances, but in these instances, you just basically need to shut up and trust us. So that, I don't know. I think he put it in a way more, it a better way than I did. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Scott always makes really great points. I think Scott's going to be joining us for the after party. I'll be sending him a link.
awesome.
Yeah, so
Very
before we get on to
nice.
the last thing, I am having a after party after after we've finished up here. And today I'm going to be doing the after party slightly differently. I'm going to be leaving this stream on, so I won't be ending this stream. And I'll be playing some intermission music for everybody um, while we get everyone in for the after party, and then we'll be continuing the after party at the end of this stream. So a little bit of a change there. But if anybody who does want a link to that, please, you know, leave a message in the chat, and I'll get you a link to the after party. Anyone who does want a link, we're taking the video from StreamYard. So if you want to be on camera for the after party, you'll need a link to StreamYard and then Discord because we're taking the audio from Discord.
Mhm.
But obviously, if you're just on audio and you don't want to show your face, then that's absolutely fine. you can just join into the Discord. Anyway, we'll get moved on to the next passage. Before we do that, I just want to shout out, we've got Neil, the 604 Atheist, in the chat. How are you doing, Neil?
Hey,
Hey,
Neil.
Neil.
Lovely to see you here. Thank you very much for joining in.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll have to jump in for the after party.
Oh, yeah, that
If
would be
possible.
brilliant if we could have
Yeah,
Neil
that'd
in
be
for the
awesome.
after. That would be
Yeah.
brilliant. So should we move on? I think
Yeah, let's hit it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's your turn, isn't it, Fad?
Oh, is it already? I'm so excited. I believe did I read February 6th? I'd be happy to read Sunday, February 7th. Okay. Jehovah, give attention to their threats and grant to your slaves to keep speaking your word with all boldness. Acts 4:29. If our work is banned, the elders will arrange for you to attend the meetings in a way that will not attract unwanted attention. They may direct you to meet in small groups and may change the meeting times and locations frequently. Regarding the preaching work, circumstances will vary from one location to another. But we love Jehovah and enjoy telling others about his kingdom, so we will find a way to preach. Luke 8:1. Commenting on Jehovah's Witnesses in the former Soviet Union, historian Emily B. Barin said, when the state told believers that they could not evangelize their faith to others, witnesses chatted with their neighbors, co-workers, and friends. When these actions landed them in labor camps, witnesses sought out converts among their fellow prisoners. Despite the ban, our brothers there did not stop preaching. May you have that same determination.
I wondered if they were going to touch on this. So, obviously, we're getting into the persecution complex here of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Uh-huh.
That's obviously a big part of many religions. Jehovah's Witnesses also have this with, the persecution complex, especially in Russia.
Mhm.
They love talking about Russia. Ever since they were banned over there, they like, oh, look at what Russia's doing to us, oh, it's absolutely terrible, which obviously it is terrible. I'd like to point that out now. No country should be shutting down the ability for people to believe what they want to believe. Freedom of religion and everything. That is a human right. But Jehovah's Witnesses seem to be very passionate about this, not because it's so terrible, but because they're able to put forward the rhetoric of, look, we're being persecuted this much. It's really bad.
Yeah.
And it says in the Bible that God's people will be persecuted. Look, we told you we were right. We are the one true religion.
I think
Yes.
Jehovah's Witness probably find it a little bit easier because it's preached throughout Christianity, I would imagine. I mean, I know that's definitely preached in Protestantism. Hey, everybody's out to get us. Everybody's out to get us. But there are a lot of Christians out there, much more than Jehovah's Witness. So I could see how they could definitely be like, hey, we are the ones that are being persecuted. We are the ones that are being misunderstood.
Yeah, and I kind of see this passage as a little twofold. One, it's one of those things. It's like if you go to your workplace, and my workplace would be a good example of this. If you go into your workplace and you go into the lunchroom and you start talking, and somebody comes up and says, you know what, work is really not an appropriate place to do this. What they're trying to say is, if you get told no, just find another way. And it doesn't matter, we'll help you to find other ways to talk to these people. And then it's also kind of a thing. It's like, well, you think that little no that you're getting is bad? Well, just think of the Russians who are going to labor camps. You can't complain. So it's a way just to keep saying, no matter what, just keep pushing. And, they really sum it up at the last sentence. Despite the ban, our brothers did not stop preaching.
Yeah, and I mean, as well as this bit actually reminded me of something that I watched in I think it was the last convention, one of the talks. They were talking about the situation with Russia, and one of the stories that they put forward, and I'm not always convinced that these stories are true, but one of the stories they put forward was there was two sisters in a Russian gulag,
Hmm.
and they were in a cell with a couple of women who were part of the Russian mob, and they were singing mob songs. The mafia chants that the Russian mafia sing. These two sisters, they didn't like the songs because they were dirty and horrible and had bad words in them and all
Mm.
of that. They were very ungodly. So the brother continues telling the story, and he says, so these two sisters, they prayed to Jehovah that they didn't like the songs and wanted to close their ears to it. And at the second that they prayed, these two sisters, these two women, these two mafia women, started singing Jehovah's Witness Kingdom melodies instead. Stopped singing the mafia song, started singing the Jehovah's Witness stuff,
Mm.
and the two sisters loved it. They were up in arms, rejoicing, and they struck up a conversation with these two mafia women. One of them told them that she'd learnt the kingdom melodies from a mother who studied with Jehovah's Witnesses, and that she wanted to become a Jehovah's Witness, and and the story basically ended with happily ever after. They became Jehovah's Witnesses, and they converted the entire
Mm.
cell.
So either a very nice coincidence or it never happened.
Yeah, but it just sort of shows
Exactly.
the persecution complex that they have. So
Yeah.
that they can use this persecution to their advantage, and
Yes.
so it doesn't matter how much people in the world push back against you, you can always turn it around to your advantage. That's what the message that we're trying to get across.
Yeah.
Think it's
Well, I mean,
cognitive dissonance as well because I
Mm.
think the majority of these people realize that they're not really being as persecuted as they like to put off. You would almost have to
exactly.
realize.
But you need that kind of building up of your esteem, especially when you're part of a religion that requires you to literally go door to door and get doors slammed in your face. You have to have that kind of persecution mentality. That way you can really say, I'm not the stupid one. They were the stupid one. They're just persecuting me. You got to
Mm.
have that built up in your mind. Otherwise, it's easy to get discouraged.
Yeah, definitely.
I could see what you're saying, but I would definitely was called a Jesus freak as a younger kid. So you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
saying it's completely the same by any means, but I guess I can empathize in a small way.
Yeah, it's all about keeping
And
the spirits up of Jehovah's Witnesses, isn't it? All these little stories and things like that to keep the spirits up, to keep them going, keep them indoctrinated, not let them,
Mhm.
waver and have questions and doubts for just even the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
Um, so
It's
it,
literally keep on the straight and narrow. Narrow as in don't look around, just keep looking forward. Don't pay attention to what's going around all around you, and just focus on the goal of spreading the word.
yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. It's all about recruitment, it's protecting the organisation. Everything that we've seen, that we've read tonight through all of these passages, it's all been the same. Protect the organisation, keep the indoctrination levels up. Don't let anyone have those doubts or anything. And whatever you do, do not bring reproach upon Jehovah's name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether we want to carry on with any more. We have done a full week there.
yeah,
This was
absolutely.
pretty brutal.
Yeah,
We
uh,
we can keep going, but
Yeah.
My alcohol is empty right now, so I might need at least a break.
I think it's pretty well said, and I think it's been said by us already. It's mainly just pushing the idea that, you know, you need to think the way that we think, and don't don't stray from anything else. We are telling you that you are thinking outside of the box, and you better believe that, because that's what we're telling you. It's a
Yeah.
lot of BS.
Exactly. So I definitely think we should leave it there because we have covered a lot of bullshit. I've been triggered through it. I think a couple of people in the chat have been triggered by it, and I'm really interested in having we can discuss it further in the after party. I think we've got Scott coming in, Kat the Humanist. I'm going to send her. She's going to try Discord, see if it sits with her.
To see if that works with your audio.
Yeah. And I
Got our
think we've got
fingers crossed.
Neil, the 604 Atheist, coming in as well. Says he's got a couple of beers left, so he could jump in. So, yeah. So for those who do want to join the after party, I will. If you are on, if you're able to have StreamYard and Discord open at the same time, then I'll send you a link to StreamYard. That's for the video, as I say, and Discord is where we're taking the audio from. So I will send links out to both of those. And if you're not using video, then you can just join into the Discord, and that's fine as well. Other than that, I will say please like, share, subscribe for anybody who hasn't already. That would be absolutely great. Once again, I've got Patreon, and I've got Buy Me a Coffee, which for me it's Buy Me a Smoke. I do like my coffee, but I like my smokes more. So check that out. All links are in the description. I also, before I forget this week, I want to shout out the Promethean movement, which we have shows on YouTube on the Promethean movement channel on a Thursday at 8:30 p.m. EST. So please check that out. We've trying to build a lovely community over there. Trying to fix some of the problems with the world, or work out ways that we can fix some of the problems with the world, and create a unified human society. That's our, main goals. So definitely please check that out.
Absolutely, and it's always nice to get to see more Katie and myself. So
Yeah, the
Skids
Promethean movement.
me and Skids are over
The Promethean movement is something everyone should check out, no matter what your idealism is. It can, I think, it provides a little bit for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I'm loving helping build it up and that, and we do need some
absolutely.
help at the moment with because we've got a lot of big goals, and we're gaining members, but we haven't got a lot of members at the moment. So all the help that we can get is absolutely amazing. I would like to say thank you to both of you, Justin and Skids. Thank you very
thank
much
you.
for the conversation
Thank
tonight.
you. I would say it was a pleasure, but you made me read Bible stuff, so that was.
I personally love reading Bible stuff.
Oh,
so
I
will
know
say
you love
it's
this stuff.
I will say it was a pleasure.
You're
yeah.
a glutton for punishment.
There's always
You, as always. I always enjoy being on here, Katie. So thank you once again.
There's always one weird person who enjoys reading the Bible, isn't there?
Exactly.
Hey man, I like gore and all that kind of stuff. So why wouldn't I like the Bible?
Yeah, do you want to shout out your channel before we go off, Fad? Because I believe you've just finished up a big series.
Well, that would be great. I really appreciate that. I'm at 85 subscribers, so I'm starting to build up there. Every Monday and Thursday, I have scheduled a little bit of a alternative Bible study where I pick and choose, but I pick and choose the opposite things that they pick and choose. So it makes it really, really fun. Come check out my channel, The Fad. I just finished Genesis, so here in about a month or so, you can expect Exodus to be dropping, and Well, if anybody knows anything about the Pentateuch, Exodus has a lot of fun things in it.
Yeah, I think you should
Thank you
definitely
for
check
letting me
out
do that.
the Fad's channel. He's got some good stuff over there. He's not like me who does all these long live streams. He does brilliant content if you want to sit down with a morning coffee and listen to some Bible reading.
Some interesting Bible reading. And yeah, they're like, 10-minute segments somewhere around that. So I try to keep it around that.
Well, before I go, as always, remember, ignorance is never bliss. Thank you and good night.
You forgot your name. Don't let your spirit fade away. Amnesia, you've been through such pain, but you're growing stronger every day. Amnesia, you forgot your name. Don't let your spirit fade away. Amnesia, you've been through such pain, but your little heart is growing stronger every day. Hey, don't fade away. Don't fade away. Don't fade away. Come on. When the world is on your shoulders, stay. Don't fade away. Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk. Come take a seat and I will recite you a tale of bold adventures spanning both sides of the veil. I knew a champion, we traveled far and wide. We saw so many wonders roving side by side. In the streets of Kirkwall we brought help to those in need. Word had spread so quickly of our dealings and our deeds. Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero buried in the black. If we had only known what we were bringing back, we felt the fire of every temper, every mage, caught in the crossfire of their politics and rage. Had to pull some strings and get them off each other's backs. There was so much greater danger waiting to attack. Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk, 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 Hawk. Just a lowly refugee, your champion arrived. Round shores of Ferelden fade to Kirkwall's buzzing hive. Rose above the poverty and rose above the pain. My friend became the savior of the white city of chains. Fight for your values and fight for your friends. Fight through this blight, find the light at the end. Through the age of the dragon, the people will talk of the day they were saved by a hero named Hawk, 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 Hawk.
Rusted turnstiles, we persevere. The wheels of conflict still move and turn. The day the world died, nothing was learned. And the future's a tunnel stretching endlessly into nothing, stumble in the black. And the light at the end is but a treachery. It will blind you and force you back. The day the world died, we kindle doom. We burned the outside, took to the gloom, but history's lessons are snubbed and spurned. The day the world died, nothing was learned. Once more we divide, from peace we turn. The day the world died, nothing was learned. Come into this world of mine. Here we go. Welcome home. Let me show you where I roam. Don't stray. Well, they built their walls. Yeah, I ripped them down. Ain't nothing getting in my way. When the madness screams inside me, someone's gonna hear my voice. Welcome home, my friend. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Welcome home again. Come into this world of mine. Race and sea, take my hand and follow me. Don't stray. And I want it all, and I will take what's mine. Ain't nothing getting in my way. Welcome home, my friend. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Welcome home again. Come into this world of mine. Oh, let it go. We're gonna tear it up. Tear it up tonight. Tear it up. Tear it up tonight. Tear it up. When the madness screams inside me, someone's gonna hear my voice. Welcome home, my friend. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Welcome home again. You're gonna wanna stay a while. Welcome home, my friend. Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Welcome home again. Come into this world of mine. So come into this world of mine. We're gonna tear it up. You're gonna love it. We're gonna tear it up. So don't you worry now. We're gonna tear it up. You're gonna love it. So come into this world of mine. Riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does
Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? I live in the shadows, I work in the shade. A cape and a mask, a lonely keeper's crusade. Can you tell me I'm not insane? Sometimes I get this feeling about the law I'm dealing. Am I letting my reason wane? Have I been forsaken on this path I've taken? Check my head, I guess the joke's on me. Whoa, I'm not laughing at the irony. Oh no. So riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? So riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? Wherever you're going, whatever you do, I'm out in the dark, keeping watch over you. So poison the ivy with your crocodile tears. We're climbing the vines to the heart of your fears. Can you tell me, has something changed? The rewards are zero, cause I ain't no hero. Do you know it when you go strange? Is your taunting true? Am I as crazy as you? Check my head, I guess the joke's on me. Whoa, I'm not laughing at the irony. Oh no. Look to the sky at night. I scan the highest heights. Look to the sky at night. I scan the highest heights. So riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? So riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? Check my head, I guess the joke's on me. I look to the sky at night. I stand the highest heights. So riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? So riddle me this now and riddle me that. Does anyone really know the mind of the bat? Good friends will part, sometimes that's just the way it
evacuate all, evacuate all, evacuate all. Gonna get you down. Sometimes you just gotta make your own way. It's alright. Please don't let it shut you out. There is always more. If they can't see it your way, walk through that open doorway before your sadness gets too hate. Gonna get you down. Good friends will part sometimes now. Good friends will part sometimes now. Before your sadness turns to hate.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the stream. This is the after party for tonight, and joining me tonight we have a group of very special people with us. We've got Cat the Humanist, we've also got Justin the Fad, obviously, co-host for tonight, and Skids the Clown, another
Thank
co-host
you.
for tonight. We have Scott Williamson with us. How are you doing, Scott? And we also have
Good.
Neil the 604 Atheist. Welcome. This is your first time here, I believe.
I think so.
Well, thank you very much.
Probably not the last.
Awesome.
I
If
hope so.
if everything goes according to the plan, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's,
'Cause you're going to
Yes.
come on my show too. So
oh, I'd love that. I'd love that. Be absolutely, it'd be an honour. Yeah. So I'll
we'll
leave the
set it up.
conversation. Yeah, so I'll leave the conversation open. You know, to talk about what we were talking about on the show, or talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. That's what the after party's here for. So let's get started.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will be
It was
right
a
back.
trigger
I will be
moment.
looking at my notes. So don't be making fun of me while I'm gone. I will hear you.
Katie, I have to tell you, I have really learned a lot about Jehovah's Witnesses just from watching your show and watching you when you were at Justin's show.
Well, that's
You've
good.
been very informative.
Yeah.
That's what I hope to do is
Yeah.
teach about Jehovah's Witnesses and the problems with the faith.
Yeah, and I like this format because I know this was the first show where you actually did the reading, and I know I heard Kat say that she finds reading out of the Bible and stuff boring, but I think we did a darn good job of making it entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. It's completely different.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because you with those passages, I thought we saw like a lot of kind of that more. This is what they're trying to do with their members of the church. Is they're trying to move them in this mindset. So I definitely think there was a lot of value to this.
I
Yeah,
think
you can see how powerful it can be to the uninitiated. You know, if you don't have any critical thinking skills, man, that stuff is overpowering, man. It may seem laughable, like when we talk about it and look at it, but believe me, millions of people are really affected by that stuff, and I was one of them. So
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately,
especially
even
when you
people
hear-
with Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, unfortunately, even people with critical thinking skills, are just so indoctrinated into it that
Yes.
they won't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if the church finds a good speaker, somebody who really does a good job of not only conveying the message, but just has that charisma and something to get your attention and feel like they're a friend, I mean, that's a dangerous, combination that, like you said, you don't have to just be, susceptible to religion. You could be a critical thinker and fall for this.
Yeah, it's I used to be in years ago I used to be into sales,
Oh,
And the
yeah.
thing about sales is to get people out of their defensive mindset and touch more onto their emotional triggers. And that's how, good salespeople operate. They understand the psychology of the sale, and they're able to actually produce an outcome, which is really a belief in you. Get people to believe in you,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
like your personality, they like certain mannerisms, certain power words, certain things. And, I always used to think that Jehovah's Witnesses, where they could improve is to be better salespeople.
Mhm.
And they try, and you can kind of see that in the literature, like the stuff you're reading today, you can kind of see where that's going, but it's all about selling yourself, and that's really what sold me into the witnesses was the
Mhm.
people who came to my door. I just gravitated towards the brother that used to come by and talk to me, and he was just like we were resonating for some
Mhm.
whatever reason. It probably had little to do with the teaching, and probably had more to do with just that connection, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And
Fellowship.
kind of like you were saying, it's all about the sales. The thing this is he's trying to sell is something, directly to you. So he's got the charisma to kind of get your attention. And like you said, you were resonating, but this is all about, God's relationship with you and how much he loves you. So it's not trying to sell you, toaster. He's trying to sell you, basically you and how important you are. So it's intoxicating at times.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I kind of like like I'm an atheist now, so when I talk to theists, I have to remind myself that we can sit here and talk logic and reason and fallacies all day long, but that's really not what it's about. That's really not
Yeah.
what is getting them into that stuff. They're being motivated by something else, and by attacking it that way, you're missing the target. You know what I mean? You're not getting
Mhm.
something's not lining up, and I
I
think it's
think it's
because they're operating on one level and I'm trying to get them to steer in another direction. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I
Yeah,
found it
exactly.
interesting. I think Skids called it like a drug, and I just remember being in worship, and there so many instances where I thought I was having, close relations with the Lord, but after leaving it's so clear that the worship was self worship, and you're sitting up there and you're sitting there thinking, oh man, I'm on the right track. I am right here giving myself to God, and you can just bring yourself up so high that you think that something special's happening.
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
absolutely, man. It's there's stuff going on that people don't really understand, I don't think. I mean, you know, people that if you find yourself out of religion, regardless of it's Jehovah Witnesses or whatever your thing was, it's so easy to laugh and think, wow, these people are so stupid, or these people are so, gullible, and it's really fun and it's really kind of fascinating or whatever. But dude, that stuff is powerful. And I think we take it for granted how powerful that stuff is on the
Um,
human psyche.
Yeah, exactly.
Scott,
Yeah.
Scott, do you have Roku?
Yeah.
I could tell.
Yeah.
your TV.
Oh, I recognize it now. I didn't see that back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Good call, man.
Yard Mike.
Yeah, but for me, it's been so long since I've been in the Jehovah Witness stuff, and it's just recently that I've been hooking back up with Katie and doing these talks and going over this Watchtower stuff. And man, it's like reliving a nightmare. It's like I forgot just how powerful that stuff used to be in my life, to where now that I'm far removed from it, but now I can feel it. Like, oh, it's really strange.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Sounds to me. First of all, JWs used to come by our place all the time, knocking on the door and stuff. And of course, back in those days, I was a pagan, so used to tell them that we were having satanic rituals, and they were welcome to come and join us. And they usually turned around and went the other way.
Is that all it takes?
And why?
I'm writing that down.
Or I say, well, I'm just going to have a bath. You guys want to join me? Turn around and walk away.
Yeah. We're worshiping the devil. Come in.
Yeah. In the bath.
Yeah, room for one more.
We're gonna make soap drawings upside down stars. No.
Yeah, we're having a Satan party at my house.
Yeah. Having a seance.
It sounds to me like there's quite a few folks that are here right now that probably you guys sound like you've all just sort of left the GWs.
Well, me and
Not
Scott have, but I don't think anyone else here has actually been part of Jehovah's Witnesses.
No, I'm a lifelong atheist, so I'm kind of bring the perspective of being from the outside.
Mm.
I'm former Protestant, so
Okay. All right.
it's like 10 years now.
So 3 more victims for my show then.
I'm a former
That's great.
Christian.
You're still a Christian?
No.
I
That
swear
certainly
that's what
didn't come out very nice, but no. I can remember Jehovah's Witnesses coming up to my porch or in my yard when I was a Christian, though, and they would hand me those little Jehovah's Witness pamphlets that have cartoons in them.
Yeah.
And you'd see people fleeing from the fires of hell, and it was just like everything in there was scare tactics. And I thought, man, you guys are Looney Tunes, and you're handing this out. You think that's really going to make people want to join you?
So, true story, Kat. So, as you know, I'm doing like my charity clown work. I join like multiple parades in Omaha quite a bit, and so I do like a dozen parades every year during the summer months. And so you walk up and down the streets before the parades, and you kind of see all the little kids, and there's kids everywhere. And this is like prime real estate for these people to hand out those tracts. And that's exactly what it is. It's all scare tactics. But they're not going and giving them to the parents. They're giving these little comics with all that burning in hell and scary shit right to the kids. And it disgusted me because they'd be walking right behind the clowns, and we'd go up and say, "Hi, kid," and then somebody would slap one of those chick tracts right in their hands. And it's just devastating. Oh man.
Come on. Chick tracks are awesome.
No, yeah, they're awesome to make fun of.
Are those the same ones that have the like $100 bill, and you think you found 100 or a 20, and then you open it up and it's like, oh, don't you wish that this was money? But Jesus is so much better than money. Have you guys ever seen that?
No.
I've seen all that.
Never
kind
paid
of
for
stuff.
my bills. Never.
Yeah.
I think those Hellfire tracks are from some Catholic church or some Protestant church or something. The witnesses like to give you tracks with the Paradise on Earth pictures on them.
Oh,
Like they try to, they try to
These
get you
these
with
were Watchtower ones.
Oh wow, I don't ever remember because Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in hellfire.
Well, they have people fleeing from fire on it. It was a comic strip.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, end of the world stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know which denomination was handing out the ones that I was witnessing. So
It probably was end of the world stuff because it seemed like it was so wacky. I mean, this was like a long time ago, I'm recalling.
Mm. Yeah.
It won't be long until Jehovah's
Hellfire
Witnesses-
sounds good, man. Bring the hot
Yeah,
dogs.
dude. I think that all
Yeah.
the cool people are going to be there. I know some of the people that are going to be in heaven, and I'm not too sure I want to spend an eternity with them. I could definitely go down there and chill out with Dimebag and, everyone
Oh,
else
you know-
that would be down there.
Oh, and apparently Dustin Diamond.
Yeah, Dustin Diamond.
Passed away.
As
Yeah.
witnesses, we used to go door to door, and when we go to like real nice neighborhoods, we'd all sit there and pick which house we're going to have when the end of the world comes and we inherit the world. This is the house we're going to take. This one, somebody will say, "I'm going to take this house." So if somebody slammed the door in our face, we'd be like, "All right, good. They're not going to be saved. That means I'm going to take his damn house." That's the thought process we had. It's like really stupid.
When you think about it, it's just
Yeah,
really
it's-
fucked up, isn't it? It's
Pretty godly.
Yeah, real godly,
Yeah.
right?
Taking your house.
Literally all I should say.
On my face. Take your damn house.
yeah, it's a good way to make recruits, isn't it? Join us or we're taking your house off you.
Yeah, if somebody catches you talking like that, like in trouble.
yeah, kind of going back to one of our passages that we read tonight. So I noticed where I work, before the quarantine shit and all that. What they would do is they would set up one of their little A-frames with all their pamphlets. It was Jehovah Witnesses downtown where my building is, which is kind of a big commercial area. And then they'd walk, as people walk by, they'd give out their pamphlets. And these were kind of like more what you described, the more, everybody's happy and sunshiny lollipops and everything like that. But they never talked to me very much. So I'm guessing it's all the tattoos and shit that
Yeah.
right there. So that's interesting. We literally read a passage just like, don't be judgmental and talk to everybody. But, I feel gypped that nobody wanted to talk to me and kind of try to sell their bullshit to me.
Well, they get kind of scared because they don't. One thing you'll realize is that most witnesses don't like to be challenged at all. So if they see somebody that kind of looks kind of like shady or like he's got
Kind
tattoos,
of like me, yeah.
or he looks like he's gonna have some kind of, they kind of shy away from that kind of thing because they don't want that kind of hassle. They just want you to believe or take the magazine. Let's just get through the first step, which is you get some literature in your hand, and then you can go about your way, and we'll deal with you later. Hopefully you'll read the magazine, and then you'll be a little more open to the message the next time around. That's how it usually happens. It's like a process.
That is very interesting because what I have noticed that they do is they sit up in the exact same spot every week, and they do a very good job of, I don't want to use the word mark, but it's probably the best way to describe it, is they find the people that as they give their pamphlets to, who like when they say hi, will say hi back. And then they kind of already have that. It's like, okay, I know this person is at least going to respond to me. So they get a little bit more in each week. And then it's just, you see them where I walk by and it's like, okay, I remember this person last time said hi to them. And now they're standing there talking to them. And now they're actually reading the Bible. So it's that little step by step, kind of tiptoe, get the foot in the door.
I like how Anthony Magnabasco and other street epistemologists take that and turn it around and spread skepticism
I tried SC one time, like when I was living in California a few months ago. There were these witnesses that were set up in front of Target, and so I'd walk in, and I'm not very confrontational. Like I won't go up to you and start preaching to you, but you know, when they come to me and they keep bothering me about stuff, I kind of feel like, you know what, you're kind of asking for it at that point. You know what I mean? It's like you're kind of welcoming my point of view now, because if I'm going to listen to you, and you've got to listen to me. So, but instead, I wanted to do more of the street epistemology thing with them, because I was like, it's not going to be very. I already know the mindset of witnesses, so I already know you're not going to get anywhere with debating and stuff with them. They'll just fucking walk away. You know,
Don't find it easy. I'll say that. I mean, the street epistemology thing. That I would be a little bit worried if I were to try to walk up, and I think that I would probably come off as confrontational too easily.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because the thing about it is, the good thing about street epistemology is you're not trying to argue with them. And if you have a personality that you can kind of make people feel comfortable with that conversation, then it kind of emboldened them a little bit, where they feel like, oh, I'm going to start preaching a little bit to you in the process. And then that kind of puts you in a position where, okay, I can continue with my line of questioning, or I can start addressing and debating them back on shit, you know, and you kind of have more of that tendency. You want to start debating with them because they're kind of like little trigger words, you know. We all have, even you have faith, sir. You know, when they start talking like that, it kind of drives me crazy, you know.
Well, exactly. They'll just start pushing away from what you're saying, though. You know, there's no discussion to be had. Like, I was trying to have a discussion about evolution with a gentleman that didn't believe in Darwinian evolution. So what is there to talk about?
Right. And then they start cutting you off. I hate when they start over talking you and stuff. It's like, come on, man. You know, yeah, it gets on your nerves, you know. I just like civil conversations, but a lot of in my experiences, once they get defensive and you start asking really hard questions, they start over talking you, because it's like they already know this guy's going to ask me questions I don't want to deal with, so let me just bury him with all this claims and, you know, deflections, and it breaks down, you know.
Word salad, let me Kent Hovind ya.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whacking.
Yeah, whacking.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. How do you even know I'm wrong, sir, when you don't have any kind of grounding for your rationality? You know, you appeal to evolution. You know, how is chance, and you're just a chemical meat bag. You know, how does the chemical meat bag get you the truth? You know, I ground my epistemology in God, sir.
Yeah, an absolute grounding.
Yeah,
that's not epistemology, though.
Yeah, that's not. No.
We'll say I used to take in way too much Kent Hovind. I'm glad that I don't watch as much content that has to do with him anymore, because, good lordy, it can become overwhelming.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know,
when you talk to these folks and they start over talking to you, that's when you remind them that you're trying to have a conversation, and it's not cool to over talk somebody.
Yeah.
exactly.
I always used to say, if you're having problems with the questions, you know, I can try to rephrase them so you understand them better.
Mhm. That's right.
Maintain your cool, man. Street epistemology is all about that. It's using
That's what
Socratic
it is.
method.
Yeah.
And maintaining your cool. And just showing them that you're not intending to be hostile. You're just trying to figure out why they believe what they do.
Yeah, but that's the problem, though, isn't it? They can't explain anything unless it's part of their script. So in the chat right now, we've got someone
That's right, Scott. You're not a
that's
hostile
beside the point.
meatbag.
making that point.
I'm just playing that role. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've there's a lot of apologetics. You know, I notice, you know, a lot of Christians they're always reforming new arguments and new apologies for.
Oops.
Belief. And I talked to. I think, unfortunately, I talked to.
Oops, what's going on? Seem to have lost the audio.
Arguments. And right now, that presuppositionalist argument is really popular, especially among the young kids. They really dig that stuff. They think it's such a short.
Oh, what's going on?
They think it's a knockdown art. It's just so bizarre.
Who was saying that the other day too about about how we're just supposed to just always say, yeah, we'll give you this presupposition and that presupposition and blah blah blah. But if there's this one little gap in information and science, nope.
Yeah, you can't
Can't be
presuppose
science.
that.
No, it's got to be God then.
Yeah.
Just tell them that this is the way. Atheism.
Wait.
That is
Love
really
it.
amazing.
That is.
That probably
is nice.
protects you from
Jeez.
COVID pretty well. You need a little chin guard, but yeah.
Probably.
Well, there's nothing more
Mandalorian.
protective than a Mandalorian's armor.
It's pretty fucking snug though.
It looked like it coming off.
I'm always surprised that it doesn't yank my bandana off.
Oh,
Actually, I have to debate a theist on the 13th of February on the Empathetic Atheist show.
Ooh.
That's awesome.
Who are you
I love
debating?
that show.
Vic Vargas. He's there's a Facebook group called Fight on the Fence, and I asked about it, and then he was like, "Well, why don't you fucking debate me instead of just talking shit?" And I was like, "Well, we can debate, but I'm not all about this texting back and forth. So why don't we just get on YouTube and do it live?" He was like,
go.
he says, "I'll do it, but you'll back down," and start talking shit and all that stuff. So there's a little drama there.
Should
It
make
ought to
an
be
interesting
They
show.
thrive off that.
Yeah, that's
They thrive off that drama.
Yeah, they
that's
thrive.
one to look forward to.
Yeah, check.
I've always got those clowns of Darth Dawkins always pop up because we banned him on every fucking possible channel he has.
Mhm.
And he sends his little troops in to
yes.
post little chicken emojis and shit. And dude, I'm not talking to Darth. He's a fucking dickhole. I ain't talking.
Oh yeah,
I spam his Facebook page. That's pretty much all I have to do with Darth.
Catholic.
Yeah, well.
Isn't he down with Darth? I know he's jumped in on a few times on Yay show, and Justin said he was actually paid by Darth Dawkins or something. I don't know.
Which doesn't make sense because I thought Darth Dawkins hated Catholics.
Right.
But the Catholic traditionalists, either he or somebody said, no, that's not the case. It's not
Well, of
paid.
course they're going to say that.
Yeah. I don't know what the case is, but it is kind of weird that he's always in the room with Darth Dawkins, and every time he shows up, Darth Dawkins comes following right behind his ass. It's almost like he had a. Yeah, I think Katie, you were there that time
Yes.
when like traditionally we were going at it a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was hopping around in everybody's show that week.
Mm. Yeah, he popped on my show once on the Dunking Atheism account he's got.
Yes.
Then after that time that you were talking about, Scott, I messaged him on, because I was going at it with him in the chat as well. And I messaged him on the Discord, because I'm part of the Reformation server, and asked him to appear on my show. After I asked him to appear on my show, he's completely ignored me and not bothered popping back on the channel again.
Mm.
I don't know what they're doing because, remember Darth Dawkins jumped in and was asking if he could get on the show because I was in the chat room when we were doing I think we were interviewing what's his name? But yeah, I forget his name right now off the top of my head. But yeah, he wanted to jump on the show and challenge me right there on the show, and then they didn't want to get on the show. Yeah.
That was the episode that Josh was the guest.
Josh, that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, Josh.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Joshua
That's
didn't
right.
want him on the show because he don't like Darth Dawkins at all.
No, he has no tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm
kind of
too
the same
smart
way.
to like Darth Dawkins.
I think people give him too much attention. You know, he's like a train wreck. If you just ignore him and move about your business, it's all okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's an entertainer, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I like watching people get them off script, though.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I don't know if I've ever seen you. I don't think I've ever seen any videos of you debate him. So if there's any videos, I'd love to watch them.
Mm-hmm.
Of me debating? Oh no, you won't find any.
Okay.
I'm just talking in general when he comes into the chat and stuff like that.
But you shut him down pretty quick. So
I've been in the after party with him too. I fucking remember what it was like a year and a bit ago.
Mm-hmm. Darth Dawkins likes to claim that Matt Dillahunty's scared to debate him.
No. I talked to Matt about that. He's like, no, fuck no. I don't want to debate because of exactly what we said.
Yeah.
He's got that script that he just can't get away from.
Yeah.
Matt's like, I have no time for that.
Yeah.
Wants to get off of that and talk to me in different ways than, in a different script or whatever the fuck. Then he said, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to him. But he put Darth in his place so damn quickly.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm sure we all could probably know.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Matt's fucking great, man. Darth Dawkins wouldn't, not in an honest conversation. I think I remember a video.
He doesn't have honest conversations. That's
Right,
part
he
of it.
does.
yeah, exactly.
Ever.
Dillahunty is good at what he does. There's no one that can deny that, or he's very well practiced at what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, he's always learning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Learning a bunch
everybody
of new
does.
shit right now too. I just started one of those the Great Courses Plus on neuroscience, so I'm gonna get a little bit of knowledge on that.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
That's cool.
Yeah, you might like that, especially if you're into consciousness, man.
Yeah, that's actually what I was just thinking. Neuroscience, and because it talks about going down to the.
I was thinking the same thing.
I know. It talks about going down to the. God damn it, guys! I can't even think. I just brain farted it all.
Sorry to throw you off.
No, don't worry. It happens all the time. But yeah, just the emergence of
My middle name is
consciousness and
Derailed.
how it goes down to the cellular level, and even perhaps beyond that. I just believe that the idea that consciousness could have emerged through adaptation per survival, because there are different layers of consciousness, is great. To look at consciousness outside of philosophy and maybe even idealize that we could put it as understand it mathematically. I'm a layman.
When you say different layers, what does that mean?
Of consciousness?
I know different levels
Or
of
levels.
consciousness.
That's what I meant. That's, like I said, I'm a layman. Different levels of consciousness.
Neural
for sure.
correlates. The neural correlates of consciousness. That's the scientific theory. There's correlation between neural processes and brain states and conscious experiences. And so different neural or brain states will cause different levels of conscious experience. Like I was watching something the other day about brain waves, like theta waves and delta waves, and all that stuff is physical stuff. And it's there's just this thing called experience that coincides with those physical states, and that's where we get this hard problem of consciousness. Like, why? Like, there's nothing in physics or neurology or any science that can would predict, why should certain activity, cause consciousness or correlate with some kind of experience. It's a hard problem. And so I think with a lot of religious people, they're going to exploit that mystery and insert God into that mystery. But there is a mystery, but I think that's kind of cool. That's what science is all about, is figuring out how to solve problems. Like, that's nothing new.
They're coming close to solving that mystery, though. I think they're coming close to solving that mystery, though, just from all the ideas that I've heard, because I came out with this one idea, and then all of these people are like, well, there are a lot of ideas of how, consciousness isn't metaphysical and how it is a physical process. And it's
property of the physical brain.
Well, it's a illusion, because we don't need to be able to see the cells or anything like that to survive. So we've created this illusion of consciousness to survive better in the world. It's adaptation, from what I can tell.
It's not an illusion. It's part of reality. It takes multiple facets of the brain to work together to create consciousness. Sometimes some of them shut off. Like when you go to sleep, that part of your brain is now shut off, and different parts of the brain take over, so you're on a different level of consciousness.
Right. The brain is
Consciously
repairing itself.
Yeah.
Well, to a degree, yeah.
Yeah.
Also
The whole body
flushes out all the useless information.
There's,
Yeah, why I need more.
from what I understand, I think I know what you may be referring to. Like, there's certain illusory qualities about conscious experience, like, color doesn't really exist out there as we perceive it. It's more like a wave. It's it's light, it's photons, it's a frequency. And then we just interpret that information as an experience of the color red or the color blue or the color green. These things don't really exist as we experience them, right?
Yes, they do. We experience colors as they pass through the spectrum differently.
Right.
That's how we experience. The reason we see blue is because the sunlight hits something that has part of the color spectrum that it exposes, or whatever. I can't think of the term, but when I look at my cane over there that's got blue in it, reflecting blue light, it's that part of the light spectrum that we're seeing. So color does exist. It just exists as light, and once it is filtered through some sort of a medium, it changes different colors, and then we see the colors.
Yeah,
but your eyes,
I guess,
what sees everything.
Like,
your brain computes that.
Right. It interprets it and presents, like, on the screen of consciousness, a color or a sound or whatever. Like a bat, like the animal, a bat would experience, the world differently than a human would. Like, they might use echolocation.
Technically hear color.
Yeah, they might even hear it color. Yeah, and then you have, like, synesthesia, which is really weird. People that hear in color and see numbers for objects and things like that. It's really strange.
Yeah. It's because light exists as a wave. So what color rays is, you've got the electromagnetic field, and photons bounce between the electro and the magnetic. And the bounce between is what we know as the different states, which create the light, the wave light. And as it's at different parts of that wave, it's different colors.
And I work with inductively compulsed plasma, what they're called ICAPs, every day. And the light spectrum, all the elements fall on a different part of the light spectrum too.
Yeah.
What do you do? What is your what is it that you do?
I'm a chemist.
Oh, okay. Oh.
I work for an environmental company. I work in the lab, and I test waste oils and fuels and contaminated soils and stuff for different types of contamination like PCBs, heavy metals, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Ooh.
So
And
you
then
use
whether or not we can send it out for recycling.
so you use spectrometers?
We use gas chromatography, specifically argon and helium.
Mm-hmm.
Also use it's like mass spec. It's similar, but it's not quite as advanced as a mass spec. It's called ICAP, where we nebulize certain samples, and it blasts it through the plasma, and it shows up all the different contaminant metals that are in there, like vanadium or yttrium or something like that.
Nice.
You can look through a little scope, like Spock on the Enterprise. You look through a little scope and see all the different levels that it hits on the color spectrum. The electromagnetic spectrum,
Awesome.
technically.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Change diapers and take away Xboxes.
Don't take mine away. I'm not finished with it.
Exactly.
What, the diapers or the Xboxes?
Both.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm old now. Just pooped again, actually.
Although I did listen to an audiobook, a pretty good one, the other day.
Was that Don Hoffman?
Just finished.
No, it wasn't.
Just finished,
It was the big question. Gosh dang it. I cannot remember who it was. One moment. I will look.
Not Sean Carroll, is it?
My memory is fading for certain reasons that we won't discuss now.
Oh, yeah, me too. And I haven't even smoked a joint yet.
I like Sean Carroll's podcast.
So that's what I was going to say.
Uh-oh, we lost you.
Oh, we've got some
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
technical issues.
Yeah, no, I unplugged my thing here.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
that'll do it.
I just nudged it a little bit and it unplugged, and I was like, fuck. I
yeah.
was trying to say, I just finished listening to, I already read it like many years ago, but The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins.
Yeah.
Oh, good
That's a
book.
pretty cool book.
That is a very good book, and that is a book that is worth a reread. I don't know why I'm searching for this so hard. It's in my Google book. Should
I
be.
wonder
I'm
if I
jealous,
have
actually. My
that.
friend Alex O'Connor just got to interview Dawkins. Screw you for living in England.
Oh, Alex O'Connor's Cosmic Skeptic.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
Cosmic Skeptic.
Oh, yeah, I love
He's a good
watching
guy.
his stuff.
I saw him debate the veganism stuff the other night, where he and he
Vegan.
killed that guy, killed that kid, man.
Yeah.
Like that guy is so good. Like he's really organized in his thoughts. I like that. He's able to really put stuff together really good in a coherent way.
Hmm.
Love.
He took it to that kid, and I was like, yeah, get him, Alex. And I went and got a cheeseburger.
I know, man. So did I. It made me hungry. But he's consistent at least, you know. I used to think, the vegan stuff was probably easy to beat in a debate or something like that. But after listening to Cosmic Skeptic, I realized, no, these people, they kind of have some good points there.
I agree with absolutely everything he says on veganism. I
Yeah.
can't logically, debunk it at all. But
Exactly.
I love meat still, so.
I know. I kind of agree with
pretty
T-Jump
much, Kitty.
on that. T-Jump's like, yeah, eating meat is probably immoral, but I'm just going to be immoral. I just admit it. No contradiction there, at least.
Mm.
I feel him on that.
But it tastes good.
It tastes so good, man.
Have any of you read any of these books by A.C. Grayling or heard of that person?
You see Grayling? Yep.
Yeah,
My granddad used to talk about books by I.P. Freely, who was they were narrated by Willie Make It.
And pictures were drawn by Andy, didn't? Rusty Bed Springs by I.P. Knightley.
And
That's an
edited
old
by
joke.
Ben
So
Dover.
sorry, I started that line of stupidness.
Yeah.
Oh, and the book I read, and I read it or I listened to it twice, was The Big Picture by Sean Carroll, and it's a really
Yep.
good book. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm probably gonna give
I
it
have it
another
here.
listen because I'm a layman.
I think I'm going to start reading this one by A.C. Grayling that I got called The God Argument. See what that says.
Best book I've read this year is this one, Alpha God by Hector A. Garcia. I've had lunch with. He's a fucking awesome guy.
Oh,
I've had him
wow.
on the show.
Oh yeah. I know that guy. I know him. He was on the Atheist Experience.
He's been a
I think
couple.
last year. And
Yeah,
Talk Heathen.
That's my next. That's my. I'm gonna bug Matt. Matt, I'm gonna be your co-host.
Yeah.
I'll probably be like, yeah, all right, sure. Good.
Yeah,
Finally.
he's a psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm not sure.
He's a psychologist. Yeah.
Psychologist, yeah.
Psychology. Yeah. The book. Basically, the book's called Alpha God. It is the psychology of religious violence and oppression. It is really, really well written.
Yeah, I want to check that out.
Does it have any like sections in there or mentions specifically Jehovah Witnesses ever, or is it more generalized?
No, it's pretty much more generalized. He does bring up different sects and the intensities of some of them, being more dominant towards the opposite sex, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really remember if he mentions JW's specifically. I think he really mentions anyone specifically. Well, he does, but I'd have to go through it again to find that. It's very, very good, and and he was really cool. I went and had lunch with him and Anthony Magnabosco, and I dragged my friend Thomas Bear along with us. Of course, he's always broke, so I had to pay for him. That's all right.
Sounds like a good lunch.
I forgot who
he does.
There's a book that tackled the subject of why is Christianity so successful. Like I think it talked about other religions too, like what makes Islam successful. What does it make? Why is it not as successful as Christianity, or why is it growing now where it wasn't before? Why did Christianity take off? There's a book about that somewhere. I forgot.
It's easy. Get them when they're young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Get them when they're
And then
super young.
also family. They like the priest and everybody. I think the book was talking about how they encourage like families to get together and come to the same church, and you have like pastors that help families and they promote family, and then also it's the political side of it too, where it's friendly with the government, it's friendly with other countries and other nationalities, where something like Islam was more isolated a little bit to their own culture, and that kind of limited it. But now it's kind of growing because it's becoming more friendly with other nations and people and ethnicities and things of that nature. But Christianity had that built in from the beginning.
Yeah, and Islam does not teach to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Islam does not like government. It would rather be the government.
Right. And that works against it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
that's
why
where
I see a
Jehovah's
similarity.
Witness.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. You're probably making the same point as me.
Yeah, I was just going to say Jehovah's Witnesses are not government. Well, they kind of are government friendly in the sense that they stay out of government's way. They try to stay out of politics and war and stuff like that. So, but on the other hand, governments really suppress Jehovah's Witnesses a lot for some reason. Like that whole persecution complex, they do have a point. Like I think now in Russia, the government's really coming down hard on Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, very hard.
Here we go with Russia again. I'm going to be craving borscht.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Jehovah's Witnesses, they're a bit. It's quite complicated to get into, really, with their dealings with governments. Because for the rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses, we were always taught that Jehovah's Witnesses are staunchly against governments, and it's all part of Satan's world and everything. But then when you look into some of the fiasco with the UN NGOs that took place, I believe it was in the 90s. Was it the 90s or early 2000s? Where they were part of the NGO thing for the United Nations. They said it was to get into the library, access to the library. They needed to be part of that to be able to go and get books out from there, even though that was clearly not the reason, because you could order those books at any government repository, any library that had a government repository. But it's quite interesting that one of the other things that you get as one of the NGOs is you're able to attend the UN governmental parties, where they all get together, and all the the players in the government. You're able to have meet them and talk to them and do backhand deals and shit like that. And it's quite interesting that Jehovah's Witnesses, although they left the NGOs, they went to the European Union and signed up with their NGO, which still allows them access to those parties.
That seems a little contradictory to their statement, though. They're so separate from the world and separate from all of that kind of stuff. They, it's all about Jehovah's kingdom. Like, that's what they teach us. They'll teach you, we don't have anything to do with the world at all. You don't even have to worry about going to school. Don't even fucking worry about getting educated. This world is going away. Why invest in this world?
Yeah, give
it's all
all
about
your ice cream money.
Protestant, I think I was taught the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you're saved through Jesus, and this is just like God's got your back. You
Somewhere to wipe your
believe,
feet.
then you be all right. And that is not how life works.
The world is dirty rags, man.
But I think
So that's what really bothers me, is they just
Or else I'd be a Christian rocker right now.
they don't understand. This is the one life that we do know we get. Do something with it. Don't just wipe your feet for the next one that ain't coming.
exactly.
Afterlife,
One
an
of my
afterlife
favorite quotes
literally
comes from,
breaks the
I'm
laws
sorry.
of physics. So stop.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems that I have with.
I left Jehovah's Witnesses because the hope was really great and everything, but then the cost of being part of it was like intellectual suicide on one hand, and then it was also going to these meetings all the time and doing the physical stuff and supporting this whole thing. So there was it was just a big drain. And so it was like, is the living forever worth it? And not only that, even if it, is it even true? Number one, it started making you question, is this stuff even true? And I'm fucking sacrificing all my time, energy, money, and everything into, it's like,
They are.
yeah, and it's like, I realize this is bullshit.
Yeah.
I would say, personally, I enjoy the naturalistic view that I'm just going to enjoy some rest after all this craziness. But one of my favorite quotes comes from somebody that I believe was theistic, which would be Bob Marley. And he says, some folks say that great God is going to come from the sky, take away everything, and make everybody feel high. But if you know what life is worth, you will find yours on earth. So that now you see the light, stand up for your right. But it's like, damn straight up, man. This is all we got. Like, if you want to know what life is worth, look around you. This is what you got.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It actually makes me do better things in value. Like I used to always make this argument when I was a witness with people, especially unbelievers. I would always say, how can you value life if you know that you're just gonna die? and you're never going to live again. Like, what's the point? But then when I got out of it, it dawned on me really fucking quick, man, I'm going to die. So I better fucking make the most of this life and enjoy it, you know. And then it did become more valuable, you know. Like, that's when the life became valuable, was when I realized that stuff was a lie. And then I really looked back and said, you know what, this is the only life I'm going to get. So I better take advantage of it and be the best I can, you know.
Wait,
And I
you
think-
mean living for yourself and not for someone else is better? Well,
again?
at least not for someone else. That I said, you mean that living for yourself and not an imaginary person is better?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
at least, yeah, at least, you know, I'm not living for a what if and a big question mark, you know. At least I can just know this is it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, when I first got out of it, it was almost like I had to have the attitude of, you know what, if this is the only life I have, it's better to expect that. And if there's something more, then that'll be icing on the cake. But it's like, don't expect, you know, it's kind of like if you do something and you pursue something and it doesn't work out, at least you tried, or at least you got somewhere. And that's kind of where I was thinking about, how I was thinking about it, if that makes any sense. But now I'm just totally content with just living out my life. If I die tomorrow, I know I've lived a pretty good life, you know, and I'm satisfied. I'm glad for that. And I think that's just the best way to be, is at peace with that, you know.
Yeah.
Are you
At
ever
least
afraid
having
of being wrong?
regrets.
Yeah, I was so afraid of being wrong. That's what it was. You know,
Like,
that's what
are like now? Do you ever find yourself being afraid of being wrong,
I love being
or
wrong.
do you fear death at all?
Mm-mm.
Don't fear death. I don't want to die tomorrow, but I don't fear when it comes. As long as it go in my sleep or something and it ain't painful, I don't care.
Yeah.
Well,
You're not going to
actually,
remember anyways.
I would go against that, because if it's going to be your last experience on Earth, whether it be painful or not, why not it be extreme? I could be
Why?
wrong.
When you could be put on, you know, in hospice and put on sort of a drug and just drift away, and then you just don't wake up again.
Yeah.
I
You don't know
mean,
the
your body
difference.
produces a lot of natural drugs if you're in a
It does.
horrible
It doesn't
state.
eat, and that's where a lot of those stories come from. Hey, you gotta think about this, man. The laws of physics that underlying everyday life, we completely understand. There's still lots about physics we don't, but the everyday life stuff we completely understand. And everything happens within a realm of possibility. So for there to be an afterlife, consciousness would need to be something that's not attached to the body, and it's not. It's part of the system of your body. When your brain finally dies, which dies a little bit after your blood supply stops, and then finally cell death occurs after that, that's it. What happens to the flame when you blow out the candle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's as far as we can know. I mean, the thing about it is, I always look at it this way. The only way that we know something is conscious is by it being embodied in something physical. You know, if we were to say, even if you're to say, like, you know, slime mold or some amoeba has some level or some proto,
Anything that's alive
whatever.
has a level of consciousness.
Yeah, but it's still a physical thing. It's still a physical entity. It doesn't. You don't ever see conscious. You have no example of consciousness outside of a body. There's none of that. That's all imaginary bullshit. That's just people wanting to be some shit that makes them feel better. And we all want to fight that. We all want to come and look for reasons to believe in that kind of shit. But that's just kind of lying to yourself and fooling yourself.
It's kind of cool.
It's cool.
Makes for good
But
movies.
you know, yeah. It's
Okay.
science fiction, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Science fiction.
I wanted to
I had a
ask you,
talk
Neil,
with
because
somebody the
you
other
kind of
day.
stated you stated that death is this certain point, and I can see where you're coming from, and I don't want
Not
to
a certain.
get
It's the
the.
end.
I mean,
that's it. It's the
yeah,
end.
but what is death? Like, if you want to get
It's a
into
process.
teleportation and things of that nature, like metaphysical states can.
Okay, hold on. First of all,
Okay.
teleportation isn't a thing yet. And I emphasize yet, because you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
On paper, it's possible. It would take a lot more computing power than we'll have in the next fucking 100 years, I guarantee it. That may not be necessarily so, because quantum computers are going to be right around the corner. Those things are freaking me out right now.
Well, last year they teleported photons.
They've done that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But they're still the
Absolutely.
original. They're taking the photon.
They use it.
Transported it.
Yeah.
It's a copy. It's not necessarily the actual
Josh, you missed it. I just ate a McDonald's burger. What are you eating?
What's Josh eating right now?
We can't steal it. I've learned it would be wrong to steal it from the other show, and that's not what I'm trying to do.
Hey, Josh!
I would like to see what he's eating.
We
can't hear you, buddy.
We can't hear you, Joe.
Speak up!
Or see you.
Fix the settings.
Yeah. You believe in those near-death experiences?
Now, yes.
Now I can
I
hear you.
mean, I believe somebody had an experience, but if it,
All here.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
All
Yeah.
here.
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
have you smoked? What is that stuff that is legal that makes you freaking hallucinate? No.
Oh no, that's
I can't- What was that?
I smoke DMT.
Not DMT, but it's another flower that really trips you out for like maybe 10 minutes.
Opium?
But
No, opium
no.
is a little too strong.
Yeah,
that's a little.
that's a long road. That's a. I'm not talking about that dragon.
That's what Ragnar was eating in Vikings. This little Chinese slave man.
That's it. Oh man.
How you doing, Josh?
Shit. Oh, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. Had a bit of a stressful day at work, and also had a confrontation with a Muslim individual for what they stated. But afterwards, I'm better than I was, but I'm still stressed.
I think Darth Dawkins wants to debate you right now.
With a Muslim friend, yes.
How would that help?
Captain Scripto. What fucking
Sorry,
douche canoe.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, the consciousness cannot just go off on its own
I'm going to
altogether
step out for
in
just
one
a
little
second and
space
help
somewhere
Mike
else.
step
I just think that whole thought that people have is ridiculous.
Well,
I know.
the
Consciousness requires a
consciousness, in a sense, seems it seems like a developing entity, though. That's what it seems like. If we're looking at consciousness, thank you. Yes, what it feels like is it's a developing entity, because when we look at back in the time where Homo erectus and Homo africanus and so on and so forth, we would see that these hominids did have obviously thought compassion of consciousness that we have now. So what it would seem is that
Evolution?
consciousness is a developing exactly through evolution in itself.
It's correlated to the physical brain. And so as the body evolves, the brain evolves along with the body.
Or forget, but everything that has a level of consciousness has a brain. Like a plant. Plants do have a level of consciousness. Not near what we do, but it runs through their nervous system and mycelial network.
Yes.
Which is a real thing, by the way.
How would you, let me ask you this, how would you know something is conscious?
Because it can react to stimuli. That is one way you can demonstrate consciousness.
Reacts to stimuli. So
let's react to stimuli.
So
when you're
here's
about
something I learned. Here's something I learned not long ago.
Wish I could learn things.
Yeah. The slime mold. Slime mold has no nervous system, has no brain, but responds to stimulus.
Mhm.
And
It does have a nervous
slime mold figures out
Not
how
the same as usual nervous system.
does all the things that behaviors, but scientists know that it's not conscious.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that it's conscious,
It has to be. It has to have a level of it in order to respond to stimuli.
I would think so.
Yeah.
Like my opinion, I kind of agree with you because in my opinion, I think that at least to be consistent, if we're going to say like, I know this thing is conscious because it responds to stimulus or because, then if we're going to be consistent, then you have to look at stuff like slime mold that it behaves the exact same way. And we're going to have to say that it's also conscious, but then you also have to observe it doesn't have a nervous system, doesn't have a brain. And so this weird phenomenon called consciousness, this awareness, this thing, whatever you want to define it, exists in matter somehow. And that's really the weird, cool thing about the natural world is that, it's like for me, I don't need the supernatural explanation to be at all of the world and the universe and all of this stuff. Just the natural world, the physical world itself is awesome. Like it's doing everything that these supernatural explanations do. Only it's better because it's true. That's what I like about that.
Well, you got to remember that plants don't have a nervous system either. They have something that's similar. It's whatever our version of a nervous system is in plants, and slime mold qualifies as a plant. It is a flora. It's part of the flora. So it has something, and it's probably within its flexibility or its flexible skin and stuff like that. That's what it's sensing things through. Is the exterior side of the mold.
I think it's just a different form of consciousness. I think it's just different than ours.
Well, yeah, some people say
it's awareness
between intelligence and consciousness. Like something can be intelligent and not be conscious. Like slime mold can act intelligent but not be conscious, kind of like a computer. A computer can be intelligently following.
No.
People argue.
No, I'd say other way around.
I see what you're.
Yeah, I think you
see what you're trying to say, but yeah, I see what you're trying to say. But computers aren't conscious; they have to be programmed to actually think.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and when it comes to slime mold or plants, they're not programmed in the same way. They kind of react to the environment. They interact, which is a little different than a computer. A computer doesn't really interact,
Right.
So yeah, I see what you're saying.
Plants do have cells that behave like a nervous system. They don't actually have a nervous system. The cells can get excited and send information over to the next cells, which eventually leads to all the trees around them and stuff through chemical releases. So they can warn other plants. And the guys coming with the lawnmower, they'll say, "Hey, grass! The lawnmower's coming."
Yeah.
And then the grass is prepared for it.
Smell that odor. Yeah.
Oh no, it's all chemical. Their nervous system is more like, which isn't actually a nervous system, but it's a chemical. It's a chemical process within plants and flora in general. Which would also be the same for the slime.
Plants are like that too.
I think for people that argue against consciousness in plants or consciousness in slime mold, I think those kind of people want to feel that humans are somehow special or somehow, like we're just like, it's okay for us to be conscious, but to let other life forms, well, that's kind of going a little too far, And I wonder how, that seems kind of almost the same kind of way religious people argue in a way. I don't know.
You know what you say to him, Scott? You say, well, too far.
Right. Exactly. You're not as special as you think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
How does that make you feel?
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
We lost the fad. Happened.
Gosh.
Oh yeah, we've seemed to have lost Fad.
Oh,
Might be having
Were
some
we talking
issues.
too much about plants? Now he's going to go smoke a joint?
Oh, man. I moved from California. I'm in Florida now. They won't let me smoke weed here. In California.
Legal where I am.
Yeah, you're in Cali? Or in Florida?
Oh, hell no. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
With some of the best weed you can buy.
I believe you.
Yeah. We've won the Cannabis Cup, I think, 17 times now, I think, or some shit. In the past 25 years.
Yeah.
It's between us and Australia and Jamaica. Seem to win it every year.
You're in one of my favorite areas of Canada where if I could go to Canada, that's where I'd want to go, even though I live like way away from that, near the Canadian border.
Whereabouts are you? Like Minnesota or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Good
Minnesota. Well, when I think of people saying that they wish they lived in Canada and I live near the Canadian border, it's always people from Minnesota.
it's like Canada,
that I wouldn't doubt. I love my state, though.
Yeah, Minnesota's great. And I think Purple and I were talking, Purple rhymes with orange, and we're talking the other day, and I said, well, we'll officially adopt Minnesota as the, how many fucking provinces do we have now? I don't know. We keep changing it, so I never remember. We'll say, for argument's sake, the 15th province.
7.
No,
I think
more
we have
than that.
7. No way, because I think you're adding the territories.
Yeah, are they not considered?
No, they're territories. Or am I wrong?
You're probably right. None of it
I
Northwest
think it
Territories.
should be
I
the
didn't even
international
realize
state.
Canada had them.
BC, Alberta, Manitoba, Ontario,
Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. Yeah. Quebec, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island. What else
What
is there?
about Ontario?
Newfoundland and Labrador.
Newfoundland. Labrador's not a province, though.
No,
Like Yukon.
it's part of Newfoundland. Or I mean, it's part of.
Canada has that fine, fresh smell. In America just smells.
Like those trees you hang on the rear view mirror in your car, man.
That's Canada.
Canada.
America pissy.
Funniest fucking video, if you go look for it, it says, welcome to Canada, Beaver. And it's just this beaver in the middle of the road, and this guy walks up to the beaver. The beaver's like, welcome to Canada! Welcome to Canada! He's yelling at all the cars going by him on the highway. He goes like, hey, beaver, what are you doing in the middle of the road? Get here. Oh, hey, what? Hey, sir, welcome to Canada. It looks like he's actually talking to him, right? It's just hilarious. Just get off the road, buddy. It's just so funny.
That's hilarious.
Find that.
Beavers are awesome.
It's a good. I love being up here. It's
me too.
been close to 8 years now, 7 or 8 years.
Oh yeah.
Where did you move from?
Washington
Hold on,
D.C.
where are you? Exactly?
DC.
Mm-hmm. I'm in
Josh, where are you?
Quebec.
Where are you?
Oh, Québec. Yeah.
Quebec.
Je parle un petit peu français, mais pas beaucoup là.
Yeah. What is it? Comme ci, comme ça? I don't know.
Mais... Oui, comme ci,
I know
comme
it's all
ça.
the swear words. Multicolores, tabernacle, and all that shit.
Comment allez-vous?
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Je m'appelle Neil. We don't speak French here on the West Coast.
Yeah, I think it's only in like Quebec and maybe
Ontario, they have
New Brunswick.
Brunswick too. New Brunswick, that's the other one I was trying to remember.
Yeah, New Brunswick. And P.
Because they don't really PEI. Yeah, they don't really talk it that much in Nova Scotia because I've been there quite a bit too, and I never hear Shannon speaking French. So.
Oh, but I mean, it matters if you go to Setsikan, right? Like if you go
fair enough.
around that general area, then you'll definitely run into like a franglais type of area. It's hilarious. I love listening to
franglais.
What are they called?
Acadians or something? Is that where the Acadians?
Yeah, the Acadians. There you go. The Acadians. Yeah.
They forgot that they were Canadians, and they just changed it to Acadians.
They're interesting.
Yeah.
They ended up in New Orleans too. Your New Orleans folks are Acadians, by the way.
Yes, that's what I think of as Acadians. I like listening to them.
It's a whole other dialect of French down there.
Oh, it's crazy. Isn't it a sense of Creole or something like that? Like it's like a mixture of Creole and something else.
Creole. Yeah.
Like Leatherback or Leatherhead from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't like no never mind or whatever the hell he used to say.
Well, you should hear sometimes, and I'm not going to do it on here, but when I try to attempt to do some French sentences, and they come out partially Spanish and partially French.
That's actually pretty impressive.
That's the mix. Yeah, but it's not on purpose. It's just putting the wrong languages together.
They're speaking in tongues.
Yes, exactly. It's nonsense.
You should hear when somebody that speaks Parisian French has an argument with somebody that speaks Quebecois French.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's
the Parisian guy's like, you don't even speak French. You speak some bastardized language.
It's so true. And then after the Quebecers are like, no, you're speaking the wrong French. And I'm looking at the person like, are you seriously saying this at the moment? I'm interested now. How are you going to get out of this argument? But
it's like the cartoon jaw drops. Did he say that?
Yep. So what was the conversation actually? Were we just talking about random situations, or was it just based on consciousness? Or
Josh,
we were having a serious conversation until you came in and started talking about French. But
we're talking about the problem of misinformation and groupthink, Josh. You know?
You haven't been saying much at all. Come on, you're supposed to be part of this conversation. It's your channel, for crying out loud.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know what to particularly say at the moment until we have like a specific road to go down.
Consciousness, like just the weirdness of it all, and you know.
I think that's part of the problem.
Plants and
I think that the consciousness is being is being held up to such a high point that people forget about the unconsciousness. I think for me, I'm more baffled about the unconsciousness than the consciousness, in a sense, because so much is sort of roiling underneath that consciousness.
Exactly.
For me, that's something that I really want to understand a little more of.
That's even more important. Because I mean, that's what kind of determines your behavior and your thoughts and your feelings, is all of those underlying processes going on that you're not even aware of. It's like that's
the part that people can take advantage of.
Yeah, it can be a superpower. Yeah, that's right. You know, I think that's part of the
commands at that level.
You know, people that meditate, like these monks that go.
So for 5G.
Yeah. It's fine.
We're already burning them down here. It's fine.
Whew, good. I won't have my mind controlled now.
Right.
Oh man, I can't believe it.
It's all the Democrats.
I wonder where these thought processes come from. Like that's my number one thing. Like who thought processes of looking at like a 5G tower and thinking that's controlling my mind at the moment, or it's about to.
Yeah.
I know. Like
how, people that don't have two brain cells to rub together, those are the people that see that shit.
I mean, the crazy thing is that they said it about 2G, they said it about 3G, they said it about 4G, and we're proven wrong every single time.
Until 6G, holy shit, they're gonna flip out.
Now they really did it, and now down here it's the big COVID vaccine. That's the big boogeyman right now, especially down here. I work in a hospital.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, there's so many people running around saying, "Oh, you ain't gonna get me with that shit." Bill Gates.
Exactly.
Already,
well, wear a fucking
already
mask
more
then.
that they've come up with. Yeah, exactly. Wash your fucking hands and wear a mask. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
They've already come up with more vaccines now that other companies have come up with have already had an effect on these new variants that have come out too.
Mm-hmm.
That's promising as well. So beat it eventually. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though, is that at the same time, while we're pumping out these vaccines or whatever, the individuals who are not taking it seriously, or the individuals who are not going to take it, they're going to be the fundamental issue that's going to continue to perpetuate this.
They're
That's
not
the whole
going to wash their hands. They're not going to do nothing.
My sister and my friend Mikey aren't taking them. And I'm like, first of all, my sister works in the healthcare industry. I'm like, I hate to break this to you, but you have to do it if you want to keep your job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, my job.
I'm not going to find another job. How's your mechanic skills these days? Because you're not going to be able to help people.
That's it. Yeah, but for me, I just never understood what people were rebelling against. Like, what is this rebellion of?
I want to be healthy.
It's all right. You're treading on our.
To the Darwin Awards, dumbass.
Don't tread on me. That's what it is.
Exactly. It just baffles me. You're looking at these individuals, and I'm not wearing a mask, and I'm not going to social distance, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm looking at them like,
it's like,
what's the purpose?
The government can't tell me to wear a mask, but yet you're going to wear shoes and clothes and stuff, and don't have anything to say about that. Somehow that's different.
Am I right?
Yeah.
You know, you have the right to not stop at a red light too. You know,
that's right. Or wear a seatbelt, or
exactly. I mean, and that's the thing that. Sorry, Katie, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I look at it logically. So, and I don't see why they can't look at it logically. I mean, there's advantages to wearing a mask. I mean, one, obviously, the pandemic. You're not going. There's a lower likelihood that you're going to get COVID with wearing a mask, but then also you also got a lower likelihood of getting the common cold or the seasonal flu.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I haven't been sick in a year, man, which is really strange.
Same here.
I always get sick every year, and I haven't been sick.
Yeah, the masks, man. That's what it is. It's the damn masks that are protecting us from all the sicknesses.
Yeah.
So other people, they're not wearing masks, they're not coughing on me, they're not breathing on me, and and I'm washing my hands more. So when I'm touching knobs and stuff, I'm going and washing my hands off consciously, and it makes a difference, I think.
It does. It absolutely does. And that's why when you look at Australia, or when you look at, for me, I'm a huge advocate for Taiwan. Taiwan blows my mind every time I read articles on it. 560 individuals have the virus, or whatever, or had the virus, on an island nation of 11 million people.
Bloody hell.
It kicked it.
Okay. What did they do that we can't in a very diversified, very separate sort of nation?
Socialism. They did communism.
Actually, Taiwan is a democratic country. Yeah. They actually
the charge that at least people down here in the South are saying that this whole mask stuff is just a form of communism.
That's beautiful.
And I get that here in Nebraska quite a bit too.
Yeah, it's just a form of
Well, so is wearing pants.
Next time somebody says that to you,
it pisses me off.
Next time somebody says that to you, ask them to describe to you exactly what communism
is. They have no idea.
Yeah.
They don't know what socialism is. They don't understand that it has nothing to do with whatever they think it does. It's
the goddamn commies coming over here and trying to take our
trying to take our
exactly it.
That's the big one.
Taking our guns and our Bibles.
You got them Mexicans trying to take our jobs on one hand. You got them Democrats trying to make us socialist.
I'm the one guy in the background. It sounds like a fucking rooster, right?
Yeah.
I'm so glad I don't live in America.
Oh, man.
Me too.
Where I live, man, there's like a church on every corner, a liquor store on every corner.
Oh, they're like Starbucks and Timmy's here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Timmy's. Timmy's is huge, and Starbucks actually. Good point. We used to have Dunkin' Donuts. I used to be a huge fan of Dunkin' Donuts, but
Oh, my
those
condolences.
went the wayside. Like I think the last one. I think we still have one within Quebec.
There's one here too. I used to work for Nuffy's Donuts, which was a big chain out here out in the West. They were pretty good too, but Timmy's came in and kicked everyone's ass. I mean, we even had Krispy Kreme try and set up here, and I think there's one left. And holy shit, those fucking Krispy Kreme donuts, the glazed ones that you get when they're right out. Oh my god, man, they're like melting your
They're
mouth.
to die for. Seriously.
Yeah, that's
I just
that's
had an
like
orgasm
Dunkin'
thinking
Donuts.
about it.
Dunkin' Donuts is like the literal like slumming donuts, especially to like the Krispy Kremes and the Lamar's. Those are the ones that are really.
Dunkin' Donuts is the devil, man, because they're gonna kill us all.
But they're so good.
care.
That's the whole entire point.
It's worth it.
It
How hell's it like it was for Homer Simpson with the donut eating machine?
Yeah.
More.
I want to go to hell. That's
He's
all
like
donuts are.
9,000 pounds after that.
Oh man.
Good, amazing. People
Oh, it
coming.
really is.
And they stay warm down there too because of the fire, right? So
Exactly, like fresh out of the oven.
Neil, I'm sorry because this is the first time that we're actually having a conversation. What do you
we
do?
were-
Actually,
we were together in a couple other shows, but there was a lot more people and it was harder to chat.
Exactly.
I'm a chemist for an environmental company, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's
I work for
awesome. For me,
GFL.
I work in archaeology and anthropology. I'm still
Very
in
cool.
university, and
Very
where we just had a dig site quite some time back that was very important based on the actual bottleneck theory and everything like that, based on near extinction and how near extinction could have brought upon consciousness, because
Interesting.
through that near extinction processes there were species that had to kind of culminate together and survive this extinctionary event, in the sense that we're
Like a
wiping
group
out
thing.
everything else. Exactly. And henceforth there was a sense of isolation, so that means that the common traits were moved around but also adapted, because you have to adapt to that new environment. Hence,
Josh,
yeah.
you know the devil put all those bones and stuff here, right? I know you
Yeah,
Fuck it,
Yeah.
I keep forgetting.
just to fool you, Josh.
just to fool you, man.
I know. That's why, like, I've seen sites that have
We've been
literally,
here for 6,000 years, okay?
6,000.
like, for
Wait a
me,
minute.
I
Yeah, ever
work
seen
with
that?
comments.
That's cool. That's really cool.
That's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
Ever see that
Yeah.
meme that was out there? I think it's God and Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve are talking to God, and they're like, "Yeah, God, it's great that we got this nice garden here and everything, but where's this guy come from?" And it's Keith Richards. The God's like, I don't know, man. He was here when I got here.
I've seen that one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just the look on Keith Richards' face, like off in the corner, like he's fucking trolling everybody.
He was there before creation itself.
Yeah, and he'll be here after. That last massive black hole explodes. He'll still be here going, "Oh, that was cool."
Just floating through space, or thrown. Well, actually, there wouldn't be space anymore. So just
That's right.
there.
Void.
He's just there.
Yeah,
He is reality.
That's it.
he
We're
is
in Keith
existence
Richards.
at that point.
We're in Keith Richards.
That's
right.
If you live
That's the
outside
reality of
of you don't exist.
Maybe he's
I
actually
think where I
God.
live, we must live.
Yeah.
I think we live near his eyeball because it rains here a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just,
Oh,
we'll
don't
just
you
be
start
Keith
bringing up
Richards
Norse
and,
mythology on me, sir.
There'll just be Keith Richards and Bruce Forsyth. That's... at the end of time.
Yes.
Oh
Or the
yeah.
giant computer. That was the giant computer from
Oh yeah. And
two little
what
mice
was
that run it.
yes, and what was the final question? It was sort of like the question to know all questions, and I think it was just yes or something. It was like the stupidest answer.
No. The answer to life, the universe, and everything in it.
Yes.
The answer was after a million something plus years of consideration, we have an answer. 42.
Yeah, 42.
42, right.
Mhm.
Right. 42,
42.
not yes, 42.
I want to get the shirt. It's got life, universe, everything in there. In the center, it's like those linking circles. And in the center, it says 42.
Mhm.
I got to get one of those. That's fucking brilliant. I love it. I had a run-in with Douglas Adams when he was living here in Vancouver before he passed away, actually.
Oh,
That's
He loved to
cool.
sit
Wow.
Loved to sit at these Starbucks just kind of around the corner and just people watch. We used to sit across the street at a place called Blends, which is the same idea. It's like 3 coffee shops on the corner. 2 of them are Starbucks, one of them's a Blends. And we just put people watching, and I look over and I see him. He's reading a book, and I'm like, I go, Todd, looks like Doug Adams. Like, who? Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide. Oh shit, yeah, it does. He couldn't remember his name, I guess. I walked all the way over there through a massive crowd of fucking retards and walked all the way over there. Sorry, I didn't actually use that word, but you get my idea. The zombies, I'll call them, because they're literally zombies. And I walk over and I walk, kind of had a cigarette going, and I'm standing beside him. I go, Douglas Adams. He goes, yeah, doing good. How are you doing? What are you doing here? Kind of thing. He does actually live here. So he had just moved here like recently, within a few months. I said, I just want to say I love your books. A big fan. And if you're ever bored, we're sitting across the street, and you can come watch people on the other side with us. And about half an hour later, he did. Came and sat with us for a little bit. Pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's so
nice.
cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But was that like the
Interesting guy.
only encounter, or was there more encounters with this Doug Adams?
Douglas Adams. No, that was the only one I ever had. I never saw him again after that. Even at that Starbucks, I guess he figured out too many people are starting to recognize me, and then he went somewhere else. He was pretty cool. He said, he even came over and said, I don't normally do shit like this, but an interesting guy, because I don't know, maybe I have a look that people think is. I met a radio DJ at our station here, and he says, dude, you are somebody that people just aren't going to forget. And I'm like, okay. I didn't know what to say to that. Right? So I ended up becoming friends with him too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Interesting guy.
Oh, man.
He was high though. Pretty sure he was high. No, he's a spot smoker. May have been why he moved to Vancouver.
Is it any wonder
Yeah,
that the writer of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would be high?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Tommy Chong lives here part-time.
Oh, wow.
oh, really?
Yeah, and I've seen him many times. I've never actually gone up and talked to him. I've heard through grapevines that he doesn't really appreciate that so much. He probably gets bombarded like crazy. I've seen him at like this place called Sophie's Cosmic Cafe. And I walk in there, and we had breakfast there one day, and I noticed him sitting in the back corner. Looked up, and he kind of caught me looking. He gave me a smile, and I just gave him a smile back and sat down.
Mm.
It was like 2 of the same kind of people saw each other from across the room, because I'm a pot smoker, he's a pot smoker, long-haired guy. Oh, you smoke pot, Neil? Never would have guessed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, some cool little conversation. I had muffins with Ozzy Osbourne once.
Oh, goodness. I am so
That
jealous.
was funny. Oh, Zach Weil. I was working at a record store called Sam the Record Man. And I was the manager of the Richmond Center outlet. And this guy comes in with long blonde hair and ripped up clothes and greasy ass look to him. I didn't recognize him off the top. I'll admit that right off. And I should have. He's digging through the bargain tapes, cassette tapes. All right, he's digging through these things, and he pulls out. I think it was Stevie Nicks' greatest hits, and then he wandered around He kind of yells. He goes, "You guys have archangels?" And I'm like, "Yeah, the Rycooter project." He's like, "Yeah, it should be right there." And he grabs 2 tapes and brings them up. Goes down a platinum Visa on the counter. I pick up this thing. I'm like, "Ooh, platinum!" And then I read the name, Zachary Philip Wilde. Wait a fucking second here. Ozzy's guitar player. He goes, "Yeah, well, right now I am." Is he here with you? Yeah, he's just over at Muffins having the muffin. A store called Muffins. There's a bunch of M's and then Muffins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Steve, bring this through. I'm going on my coffee break." And I met him for 10 minutes or so.
Oh, that's
Hey,
cool, man.
Over there with Jack. It was pretty cool. And I was at a club called 86th Street, drinking a couple of beers, watching. I can't remember who the fuck we were watching. I think it might have been Skid Row or something at the time. My buddy Rod, standing in front of me, turns to me and he all of a sudden he has this doe in the headlights look. I think, right? Like, "What's the matter?" He goes, "Nikki Sixx is standing right behind you." I'm like, "Oh." So I turn around. There's sure shit, Nikki Sixx. He kind of looks down. He goes like that, and I'm like, "What are you drinking, Nikki?" He goes, "Nothing right now." I said, "You want a beer?" He's like, "Sure." So I bought him a beer. And,
Awesome.
so I bought Nikki Sixx a beer, and also we went and saw Alice in Chains at a place called the Town Pump. The ticket that I had was Mother Love Bone was opening for Alice in Chains. And by the time the concert came around, Andrew Wood had already passed away.
Whoops.
Alice in Chains, and this dude comes up. The first band had already been up. They called themselves Mookie Blaylock. This guy sits down beside me on the stairs. "Hey, dude, what's going on?" "Oh, you were the singer in the other band." He goes, "Yeah. What'd you think?" I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, kind of hoping to see Mother Love Bone." I hadn't heard at the time that Andrew had died yet. He goes, "Yeah, well, the singer passed away." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so that's how I found out. Turns out it was Eddie Vedder. And I bought him a beer too. Yeah. So I'm sitting there watching Alice in Chains play with Eddie Vedder on the steps up to where the pool tables are.
Oh, jeez.
And I bought him. I had no idea who the fuck he was. I said, "Dude, you don't have a beer?" He goes, "Yeah, no, I haven't bought one yet." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll grab you one. They got these new ones. They're Okanagan Spring Pale Ale. You want to try one of those?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sounds good. Canadians make good beer." And I'm like, we try. And then I grabbed the beer and brought it over and sat with them. And I said, "Yeah, you guys actually did pretty good." And at that moment, somebody had jumped up on stage and tried to jump do a body surfing thing. And literally the stage is like a foot and a half off the fucking main floor. Whole crowd just went. We're like, "Ooh, I hope she's okay."
God.
Total punker chick. Yeah. The crowd just opened up. It was like Moses at the fucking Red Sea.
Wow, it is split, huh?
Oh.
Screw that guy. We'll let him hit the ground. Hit the
Good
deck.
show. But I found out later, when Pearl Jam named their album, they named it 10. That was a little nod to their original name of Mookie Blaylock, because he's a basketball player and his jersey number was 10.
Some obscure facts, man.
I'm full of them, along with shit.
So, Neil, what's the strangest thing that's ever happened while you were playing live somewhere? Or one of them, anyway. I know there's always a lot.
Well, I was playing live?
Yeah.
I don't know if I was kind of strange at all, really, but I've had panties thrown on the stage. It's kind of cool, so not maybe strange. My mom was at that performance. She's like, "Young lady." Like, "No, Mom, encourage her to do it again." Well, she's probably not wearing 2 pairs, but
I'm glad you added to that sentence, because stopping that your mom was in the audience might not have been a good stopping point.
My mom's pretty cool, actually. My mom's pretty cool.
My dad threw his panties on the stage.
My dad threw his panties on the stage. I'm not going to kink shame him.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Well, he's no longer with us, but his dying wishes were bury me in my panties.
Yeah.
I said,
You
sure,
know
Dad,
how
you
you
don't want
have-
your Green Lantern underoos?
Oh, God.
All right, I lied. I have Green Lantern underoos.
Not I.
Do you know how they have the spotlights up on those big poles, that you stand up that are kind of like tripods at the same time?
There's a couple right down the street because they're doing construction.
Yeah, well, anyway, we were playing at this place in South Dakota, and I'd never played there before, but I heard it was kind of a bit wild. And it definitely was. I mean, the people were kind of like 3 sheets in the wind before we even got there and started setting up. And oh my, I mean, it's like, as soon as we started playing, like, people were just lining shots up of straight liquor on the stage for us to drink. Just lines of them. That's the way the sound was.
Nice.
So, and then I'd go to the bar during our break, just to get like a glass of soda. No, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of, it's like, do you want your band conscious, people?
Don't give a shit. As long as they pay.
Oh, playing out of tune and shit.
Yeah, I'll just lay down here and play. No, I did not get that drunk. But anyway, while we were playing, I cannot remember which song it was. I think it was like a Billy Idol song, actually. I think about it. But I look up.
Quiet
and when
Wedding.
I look up, probably. When I look up, I slowly see one of the spotlights starting to fall down in the crowd towards us. And I'm thinking,
Oh no!
somebody is going to flip and die because these are so heavy, And then just like
Not only
slow
that,
motion,
all the liquid on the floor.
Yeah.
yeah, oh my God, yeah. But it was just like slow motion. Everybody in the crowd looks up and they slowly all reach up to it at once and grab it and set it straight back up again. And it reminded me of that statue at Iwo Jima, of the people planting the flag. It was totally
yes.
like that.
Mm.
For the
That
end
was a
scene of
cool
the new
spot.
Wonder Woman movie where the original Wonder Woman saves those people.
Has anybody ever heard of a band called the Atlanta Rhythm Section?
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard of them? They from
Never.
Atlanta?
Yep, I know exactly who they
Yes,
are.
I've heard of
The
them.
song's
Yeah.
going through my head.
My brother was the lead singer for that band. For
Oh,
a
really?
few years.
Get the hell out of here. Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah. He toured with them, like he joined the band in 1985 and toured with them through the 80s and early 90s. The original lead singer left the band and he had joined the band and toured with them and stuff like that. That was pretty cool.
Huh.
Yeah. That's I didn't know if anybody would know that band because they're kind of old.
Oh,
old.
sure. No, because I'm old, so I know those things.
Oh, okay.
What's your brother's name?
Sean Williamson.
Hmm.
Sean Williamson. Oh
Do you have a stage name?
no, I don't know. He went by Sean Williamson back then. I don't know if you can find him on Google or anything like that. I don't know if he's that famous, but
I'm looking up the Atlanta Rhythm Section. They generally list everyone that ever had anything to do with the band. So
I shall return. I need to get some cereal.
Sure.
When I
all right.
Well, here's one, Scott. Do you know who
Yeah.
Chaka Khan is?
yeah, of
Oh,
course.
Chaka Khan.
I
Okay.
remember Chaka Khan.
Do you remember when it was Rufus featuring Chaka Khan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Rufus was actually my uncle's band, Kevin Murphy, and he's like the keyboard players, but he went on, he played with Chaka Khan for many years after that, but then he eventually retired.
Wow. I found a video with my brother and
Whoa! Okay, whoa.
oh, sorry. Trying to pull it up.
Yeah.
Had to play. You know how YouTube is. It's gonna play.
Yeah. Well, before you play
It
that,
sounded like the alien.
I'm going to shut the stream down now because we've been going for like an hour and a half and viewers have dropped off. So,
Ready?
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
just put
we've
it
been
in.
having a really good
Who
conversation.
cares?
I'll shut it down, but
We're having
obviously
fun.
we can still chat in Discord and that, obviously.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. This has been the after party for tonight. I'll be back on again on this channel on Friday for the Liberated Borg show. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.
Good night.
Hear